Welcome back, Bowling World fans. This is episode 4 of Around the Bowling World with Patrick. And in this episode, we have special guest Alex Handback joining us.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Handback. How is it going today?
You know, I felt bad that we've been putting this off for so long. My setup at home is probably not as good as what yours looks to be, but I do have a little boom mic that I've only used like twice.
Yeah. I mean, it's not too terrible, but you're on the beach. I mean, I'll take the beach.
I ain't on the beach. Not on the beach.
You're in a little sunnier area. I wish I could just like grab everything and just go and set it down on, a nice little sunny.
It's hot enough to sweat, and I'm making the most of it.
There you go. All right. So to start off, why don't we kind of go down the introduction route and kind of talk about who is Alex Handback himself, and what is your role within Bowling World? That's something I've asked you multiple times, but I never really got a straight answer.
Well, because there is no real answer. I mean,
I know. What's the official
I do
title?
whatever. Some CRO.
CRO, so Chief Resource Officer.
You can assign whatever letters or phrase that is you want to. Do what needs to be done.
There you go. So CRO.
I think one of my best qualities in this position is that I don't like making a plan, because when I do, it never goes to it. Whether we're doing a new build or if I'm going to, scout out a new location, it's always a detour. It's always a reroute. So, you got to be fluid.
Right.
You got to be fluid.
For sure. Especially with how much traveling you do. It's something that I've always talked to people about coming down in Kenner. Obviously, you were a local here at one point. And I tell people all the time, it's like, man, Alex is somewhere between here and New York City. And that's about as much as I can tell you.
Yeah. Somewhere between here and Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah, Cleveland-ish. I mean, if I say New York, it kind of radius kind of goes across that way. It swings a little bit. So how many years have you worked for the company? That's something that I feel like I knew the answer is like 1920. Is this year 20?
Just over 20 now. June made 20 years. Well over half my life.
You ran
not
this
40
shop
yet.
Right. You ran this shop
9 years.
What was it? 9 years? Yeah. It was 2012 to just about
2007 to 2016.
Oh, Lord. That's a lot. So, oh my God, you left this shop right after I graduated high school. If that makes you feel any younger.
Yeah. So how old were you when I started working in there? Because I was 20.
Let's see. 2007 I don't even know. That's
fourth grade, fifth grade.
Fourth grade, fifth grade. So I was like, I don't know. To be honest with you, I really don't know. I'm 25 now, minus 15. I was like 10 years old. 10, 11, roughly at that time.
Second, third. Second, third, fourth grade. I'm going to put that in the camera.
I don't even know, honestly. Honestly, it was back whenever I lived in American Republic, so everything is kind of blurry. But yeah,
no. Kind of blurry when I lived in New Orleans too, for other reasons.
For sure.
It was a hell of a town to turn 21 years old in.
That, or if you're a ball driller anywhere or a ball driller or a bowler in Dallas. That was a terrible 21st birthday experience in Dallas. And then let's see, what is your favorite part of working in the company? Oh, man, this is a question everybody asks me that question. I can't answer it because it's like, it's great because it's family, but then we're also all separate. So it's like, depending on where you are.
I've said 1,000 times, my mom told me at a young age, if you get a good job you enjoy, you never work a day in your life. And that's what it's been for me for 20 years. There's obviously the day-to-day stuff that can easily get you fried a little bit, but I mean, it's not monotonous. It's not the same thing ever. And I think the fluency that I was talking over, the fluid part that you have to be in this industry is one of the things I like the most. I kind of thrive in chaos. When I had the Nationals booths, it was always hectic for like 2 hours until the squad started. The squad started, we were able to kind of regroup, reorganize, restock, and all of that, and then it would start again. It was just balls to the wall there for a little bit, and I kind of thrive in that kind of environment. And like I said, I'm not great at making out a detailed plan. I can plan out where I'm going to be for these days with hotel stays, that kind of thing now, but even then you got to be able to pivot. And I think that's one of my strong points, is being able to adapt to whatever situation comes up.
Right, and that's something I kind of can agree with. Like, I'm really good at the it's slammed for several hours, and then you get a moment to breathe. You get to like recoup and move things around, get things settled back in, and then go right back into it. And that's something that a lot of people don't get, especially now, because I mean, now I do kind of the same thing. I just do it in one place, where it's I might drill, a few customers' balls up, work with a couple customers, and then I'll go out, film something out on the lanes or in the shop and set up, and then I have to break it all down, put it back together as I kind of go back and forth. And then on top of that, just adding bowling to it and just other life events like going out to, like, let's say Bowl Expo this year and then going back and forth to regionals, just having to go from place to place and being able to like just truly like pivot at any moment in time. Like, one moment you're working on a ball, and the next thing you know, hey, you need to go jump on a flight and go bowl, or so on and so forth. It's been kind of an interesting year to learn how to adapt quicker, right? Especially going from environment to environment. I think I've been now everywhere across Texas, all the way to the furthest spot in West Texas, to everything here into New Orleans and up to Jonesboro for bowling.
Is that
Now,
El Paso? Is that the furthest west spot?
we went to Lubbock, so we don't go to Paso, but I mean, Lubbock is pretty much the furthest thing that we'll go for the PBA regional tour.
That's the Panhandle, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, I've never been up that way.
Yeah, so I mean, that's probably the furthest we'll go, but I mean, even then, just going from environment to environment, and even like going like somewhat south of Texas, so going into like San Antonio and Houston area, and just kind of going back up through here into New Orleans, kind of adapting from location to location is definitely something that I have learned to do better. But yeah, no. Let's see.
A good opportunity to grow with us is being fluid enough to be able to move around.
Exactly. I mean, I did the whole. What was it? It literally took me 2 weeks to move here. I mean, I dropped everything, kind of put in my 2 weeks notice with everybody, and then just kind of packed it up and left. Parents weren't very happy about it. They're happy about it now. I mean, it was a little last minute call.
How old were you when you moved there?
I just had turned 21 that year. So the end of that year, I was still 21 that end of that year. No, 22. I was 22 whenever I came down. So it was a matter of.
I have a private bartender here that I have to bribe.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was 22. I think they were more shocked because Jeff called me on a Saturday, so I called them on a Sunday and was like, "Hey, I'm leaving in 2 weeks," which was a little bit more for them than anything. I mean, for me, it was just like I just needed to move on and do something bigger, and I knew, I mean, originally just that I was going to move and be able to know that, I was in a good place. I mean, I'd known the name McCorvey's for a while because I worked at Classic, so I saw all the orders coming in. Lord, I do not miss working at Classic just for the McCorvey's orders. And now I feel bad because now I'm the person that does that to them.
I feel bad about that sometimes too, because I push all those orders through. And, if I have a busy morning or whatever, sometimes I don't press them in until like 2 o'clock.
Right. So
if I push them all through at the last minute, then I kind of feel bad about the guy that has to pick all those because they go out by 3 Eastern or whatever. It's the Florida warehouse.
Well, and the funny thing is that those guys actually won't stop picking our orders. Yeah, so that's something not a lot of people knew.
Well, usually my routine in the morning, once I sit down at my computer, whatever time that may be, whenever I start, whether it's 6 a.m. or 8 a.m., a lot of times it'll be first thing is always just fill up the Classic orders that I haven't touched since 7 o'clock the previous night. Right. Do all those, and then for the next 3 or 4 hours, whatever other tasks are at hand, I'll get caught up on. Then I'll check them periodically. If I'm sitting there working on my computer and I get a random Classic order that comes in that's quick, and I just turn it over, it's not a big. Right. Can you hear that?
Yeah, a little bit. It's fine.
Okay, he's off in the distance, but he's having a good time. But I feel like a jerk, if I start pushing orders through at 2 o'clock Central Time, and there's 40 of them that come in. I'm like, man, I'm gonna make this guy work overtime or something.
Right. I've gotten into a better routine about when I submit them. So like over the weekend, I'll just submit them whenever because I know you're not gonna get to them until Monday. That's just
I'm not gonna touch them Monday.
Something on a weekend is just not guaranteed to go out until Monday at the bare minimum. So I'm like, okay,
22 right now. I have 22 orders from today.
But then throughout the week, I'm like, I'm just gonna wait until it's like past 5 or 6 o'clock at night because then that way it just goes out the next day, which is perfectly fine. Because nowadays, I feel like I tell this to every single customer, is like, you can't guarantee anybody that's going to be within a certain
Oh,
time
thank
frame
you,
for
sir.
something.
Oh, that all ice you
Because
put in there? Jeez. No wonder he's
because
not a bartender.
just in between orders going in and then on top of that, whenever they do get picked, I mean, things could change. You know, somebody can walk in the next like hour and say, hey, I want to, order this weight bowling ball, and then come in a whole hour later and be like, hey, can we switch that? Because I've had that happen. I mean, I had that happen even here in the
Sure.
shop, where somebody walked in, they wanted a 12 pound, and then, after having the conversation of like, man, you are bigger than me, you're an NFL player, or like whatever the conversation might be. It's like, you're bigger than me, you probably could handle a little bit more weight. I would say throw around a couple different weights and figure it out. They decide on the lighter weight, come back in, and they're like, hey man, let's go ahead and just change that.
I drilled a bowling ball for Reggie Bush when I lived down there, and he wanted a 12 pound. Actually, I think I drilled him at 12. Maybe, yeah. He got a lightweight ball. And
And
I was giving him shit about it.
I have to look at these NFL players, and I look at them and I was like, hey, how much can you bench? How much can you lift? Like in general, like on one hand, how much do you think you can handle?
But
They're
you
like,
want to throw a 12 pound ball.
but you want exactly, you want to throw a 12-pound ball, but you can go sit there and grab a like barbell or dumbbell or whatever, and like literally lift it with one hand, and it might be like 100 pounds. Like, let's be realistic as to what your physical capabilities are. And I've had this conversation a lot lately with people of like, how much weight can somebody handle, or like somebody a certain age should be able to handle whatever weight. I'm like, it's truthfully like not like that. Like,
What's your barometer for that when somebody asks you that question? Say,
I
don't know, junior high kid that is athletic.
You see, so like I tell most people it's
your
like
build that's in 7th grade.
right. So like I tell people it's like, honestly, it truthfully depends on what that specific person can handle. Like, make them grab a bunch of balls and just see what they can handle. But I tell people it really just depends on like age range and like the actual school year that they're in and what they're doing. So like an athletic kid, kind of my weight or my build at that age, I mean, probably like 12, 13 pounds at the bare minimum is what I would say.
Do you get them do you have them swing a house ball, or do you have them swing a blank? Do you have them?
So I have them hold a blank with their elbow tucked into the side of their torso.
Yeah.
And then like open hand flat to see how much they can balance it without them shaking right then and there. Because the idea is that if you put your arm at a 90-degree angle into the side of your body, the whole entire weight shift is different than if you were holding it normally with your hand in the ball. So if you can handle holding a ball with your open hand to the side of your body like that and kind of bending your arms up at a 90-degree, you should be able to handle that weight or some more whenever it's drilled proper to your hand. I tell this to a lot of people. It's like, that's like the normal test. The other test is just truthfully like go out and like grab a couple house balls and toss them around and figure out maybe it's just the bigger hole size that's making this harder to be able to handle the whatever weight it is. Right now,
typically in that situation, if it's somebody that comes in that exact same scenario, you can whatever house ball they're comfortable with, go up a pound. If
right.
You obviously the 90-degree thing with the elbow into the hip. I seldom do that, honestly. Usually, if they're unsure about it, I'll usually encourage them to use a little bit heavier weight than what they initially. Unless they come in and say they want 15-pound ball, I'm like, okay, well, balls to the
That's
wall.
easy.
Great.
Yeah.
Or give them a ball in the box. Grab a 12-pound white dot and let them at least hold the handle and swing it aside a little bit. And, that'll give them at least a good feel of it. And I always like to use the analogy of palming a baseball versus palming a basketball. Just the fact that you can get a better grip on it will help them understand that they can handle more weight once I fit their hand versus using a small, medium, large type deal.
Right. And I tell some people, it's like, sometimes I have time to just do that, which is a lot easier, is just like do the whole 90-degree angle thing. And then sometimes you do just have to tell some people, like I've been busy to some points where people are asking me the question. I'm like, honestly, I'd have to like literally stop everything I'm doing to be able to kind of help you figure that out. The best thing I can tell you is go out, feel a couple of the house balls and have them swing around. And even then, like maybe just go grab a lane and go start bowling and then see which weights feel a little too heavy.
I feel like you're kind of behind it a little bit. I mean, wouldn't you say that most people that come in there have already thrown a house ball a fair amount?
Some people don't. Honestly, lately in the shop, we've had a lot of new faces. Like probably this year out of every other year we have. Exactly. We have probably, I would say out of our whole league base, probably 10 to 15% of the league base now is newer bowlers that have started within the last 8 to 12 months. Easily.
What does What does y'all's Monday night look like now for the what
60 lanes.
60 with is
60.
it still two leagues?
Actually, so it's 3 leagues, but I actually don't know what it is now because Monday night for my league has not started till this upcoming Monday.
Is that
Uh,
strike time?
the SIBC High Impact League,
Is that
Daniel
on,
Jackson's league.
is that on the low end?
Yeah, the one on the low end. So
Okay, so that used to
there's
be called strike time. So I'm glad Daniel has that league now because Daniel's amazing.
yeah, no.
He's a great promoter.
Yeah, no, he's probably the best thing that our bowling center has when it comes to just having
Yeah.
tournaments and having the proper league. Some people even are going as far as saying like Daniel should realistically be running every league in that building, but I don't think Daniel has the time for that.
Boy, and his kid too, man. I watched Daniel Jr. or the third, whichever number he is. I watch him grow up, and boy, he throws it a lot better than he did when he was little.
He does start really good. But yeah, no, Daniel's running that league. So we have last season we had basically lane 3 and 4 to 28. But we did have a couple teams join, so I think we're taking up the whole house now as a whole. Then there's
They saw a cocktail bunch and
yeah, cocktail bunch and diehards.
Okay, is Die Hard, is that George's league?
I believe so. Yes, I never really knew who actually ran that league or not. Yeah,
can't remember. I thought it was George, but I'm really not sure.
Yeah, no. But Monday nights at least 60 lanes at the bare minimum. At the worst case scenario, we're full house. I mean, it wouldn't be surprising. And then, honestly, it wouldn't be any damage to the bowling center. I mean, they have 4 lanes that they could use last season and for open play. And like you would walk up to the front counter and people would be like, 4 hours for a lane. What do you mean? I'm like, there's literally like 99% of these people here for
my home house now in North Alabama is up. I mean, we only have leagues on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but 24 lane house is full on Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 6 to 9, which honestly, in that house has not been the case in the past several years, but they're finally started to put some money into place, got some bowlers back. It's a booming area. Place is a gold mine. I'm glad they got some bowlers in there, or more bowlers, I should say.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely a big influx of just like people getting into bowling a lot more lately. A lot of newer bowlers. I would say now, I think we probably have like 1 day or 2 days a week that we're slow for more than 3 hours. And that's going to be like in the daytime where we're already expecting to kind of be slow because it's, everybody's at work and the people that aren't working are in there. But at the same time, it might just be like a group of like 2 or 3 people and it might be like 5 or 6
have, what is it, Red Ball and what were the senior leagues?
We have St. Charles Parish and Chappelle Ladies on Mondays. And Tuesdays we have, I cannot remember what the Tuesday morning league is.
Ladies league?
But we still, the men's league, the guys league. We don't have the ladies league anymore. I think that's Tuesday.
Red Ball. Red Ball was either on Tuesday or Thursday. I can't remember which one it was. They called it Red Ball. I don't know what
I think Red Ball is the Thursday league. And I know because of the fact that everybody kind of talks about that one. Tuesday, we still have the men's league down there. There's no more Wednesday morning league.
How big
there's no more Friday morning league.
How big is that Wednesday night league, the money league?
Wednesday night, I think they start this week, so I'm not sure. They had a couple people that dropped out. They have a couple people joining in.
I'm just saying, the last time I bowled that league, we won.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Oh boy.
I was the worst one on the team, but I'm just saying.
I'm actually opting out of bowling that league this year. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of bowling on the Wednesday night. Honestly, it's too busy in the bowling center and it's been too busy in the shop. I think Wednesday is probably on average.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no. On average, Wednesday is probably our second busiest day of the week. Sunday being our first busy day of the week. I feel like Sunday afternoon is like perfect time for everybody to come in and get something drilled, and everybody just kind of seems to be that way. It's between Monday, just before league starts, is super busy. Sundays being super busy. Wednesdays, and then like you get the occasional Friday, Saturday that's just like booming. I remember mornings. I'm subbing in that league. I'm like, I think I'm a 4th man on a roster. I don't know exactly, but I just kind of told people it's like I'll sub. I can't bowl every Sunday.
Oh, are you on a roster or are you just subbing?
I think somebody threw me on a roster, but I told them like I can just stay as a floating sub, mainly because I just have with the regionals, it's kind of hard to kind of commit to bowling that league. Sure. And then on top of that is just like not knowing if I'm going to be there every week. So it's like I told some people, it's like it doesn't make any sense for me to commit to it and then not be there half the season.
I committed. I committed to a league this year on Tuesday nights in North Alabama. I know. I did. I didn't last year, and
Right.
I told the guys that I'm bowling with that it's a 32 or 36 week league, and I'll be stoked if I get half of that. If I get 18
Right.
weeks out of it, then I'm cool. I mean, I'm paying for the whole damn thing, so I'm
Right.
gonna pay for a halftime sub. But regardless, it's a big league and a center we don't have a pro shop in, so
Right.
it's exposure and everything else. And
Got to put that big old bowling world patch on the chest to make sure it looks good. Yeah, no, I'm committed to Monday nights. That's about it. I don't know. I'm not a big league bowler. I honestly, it doesn't translate for whatever I do outside of the center,
what are you
right?
talking about, man? You got to be a house hack.
I can't.
You got to be a house hack.
I mean, I can bowl decent. It's just I don't stand 40 or 45. Whenever I go to a regional, unless we're bowling on long. I
You
like
stand
I
40,
have to-
45 on a house shot with your 400 rev rate.
the 400. It's like 5.
Mm-hmm.
I relearned how to throw it in the last couple months. Have to have rev rate on the left side of the regional tour. There's a lot of volume out there, man. People be talking about how the left has all this oil. They do, just not on
the
house
list
shot.
of things you need on the left side, rev rate's not in the top 3.
It's not, but it just so happens I have it.
You need low tilt and accuracy.
I do have low tilt
and maybe urethane. Who knows? I don't know.
a lot of urethane, all the urethane.
I'm not left-handed, so I can't really speak to that too much. But I know the couple of the old guys that I watch bowl the most in Kenner there, and they can fire off the corner, doesn't matter what it is. And of course, the argument's always the same for you guys. Well, if the shot's not there, it's never there. It's like, well, but the shot's always there. So
yeah, it's a little bit there.
know,
Sometimes it's not. I don't know. The fronts here is what kills it. The fronts are so beat here. That's what makes it hard.
Just make it do this.
Yeah, no, I just the little jump scoot over it. Yeah, no, I do that plenty. I did that a lot this last week, and it's not a whole lot of fun.
There was a guy that I bowled with on Wednesday nights when I lived down there, AJ Vincent. If he still bowls there, I'm not sure if he does.
He does not.
I
know who you're talking about, but he doesn't bowl.
He showed me something there several years ago now that I was having the hardest time with. That it just for whatever reason I just didn't acknowledge. AMF doesn't oil the first foot and a half, first 18 inches are completely dry, and I lay it down pretty close to the foul line, and I was wondering why I kept on missing so far left every damn shot. It would piss me off. Like it was beyond me. It was just made me so mad. So what I started doing was actually moving my eyes to the right, so I would tug it in the spot. But it turns out I wasn't really missing. The ball was just hooking literally off my hand.
Yeah.
And once I realized, and he told me that, he said, "Dude, your ball is hooking literally
right there.
It's off your thumb." So I was like, "Oh, you're right there. I forgot. There's no oil there. It just never really dawned on me." So I just did that a little bit, and all of a sudden it's.
Oh yeah, no.
Let's be realistic. It's more like this, but
it's like this much that you have to like jump over now at this point.
You're right.
No, it's something that I've had to learn how to adjust going from place to place. So like here, I immediately delete the first 2 feet of the lane, and then on top of that, after the first 2 feet, it's so beat up still in like that section between that dry spot and the actual arrows. Because of the fact that, we have open play every day. So it's, again, busy. It being busy and then all the house balls going down the lane, it just beats up the fronts of the lane really, really badly. And then you have, like, the occasional people that, kind of do the things that are not so kind in a bowling center. I tell people it's like, between doing that and then going onto the regional tour where, like, at the regionals, I'm like, I need to put my ball down at the foul line to get it to start hooking there. Because if not, it's not making it there. I threw one once where I jumped the first couple feet of the lane and my ball never saw it. I literally took the two pin right out of the rack.
That's a washout, right?
Yeah, immediately. I was like, okay, cool. Never doing that again. Make sure it touches the foul line, basically.
Well, you know what I always say: if you're struggling, just throw better.
Right? You see, even Nola Natsu here. I'm a lefty, and I find myself always using lower end stuff in Kenner. Now, this is something that a lot of people ask me why I don't do, and I tell people all the time. Lower end stuff is not always the answer, right? Because you can throw a weaker ball.
If you don't want to go sideways, then yeah, you can throw something bigger.
Right, exactly. So like I prefer throwing the bigger end balls because of the fact that it allows me to not see them go sideways, and I can play them more open angles as long as my ball doesn't get there and decides to go this way, right?
Yeah, if you have a rev rate, then you need bigger balls to blend it a little bit. But
right. So it just really depends. It's all depending on the person and depending on how that part of the lane that day is playing. And on top of that, just depending on what part of the house in general you're in. I feel like you can.
It just dawned on me. I bet I know who that was. I
Nolan
didn't have
Nuts.
I didn't have his name on there, but I bet I know who it was.
He did say that he drilled you a couple balls at one point.
Yeah, I see that coming up there now. I bet it's Eddie. Be my guess.
Eddie Toops.
Yeah.
He signed up for the demo day. Somebody just sent me an email.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that receipt. He ordered for the website.
There you go. Look, it's Eddie. There he is.
that's my buddy, man. I watched that kid grow up too, and he throws it a lot better. Well, obviously,
Right.
but
Yeah.
he grew up a lot.
But yeah, no. Let's see. Let's kind of go down this list that I have here. Okay, what is your current point of view of the bowling industry as a whole right now? Now, more talking about leagues going from center to center. I know you spend a lot of time again going from shop to shop, from location to location, seeing all the different things. Shop sales. Obviously, there's been a lot of inventory issues over the last year or so, which kind of seem to be going at a better pace now versus before. Obviously, like I've gotten a bunch of back orders in here lately. I mean, I'm piling up stuff now. I'm like, I'm ready to go for this season.
Well, I can't really comment on the inventory issues. I mean, supply chain issues are happening across the board, regardless of industry, and we get the same answers from the manufacturers that we do from distributors. So yeah, I mean, they all kind of say the same thing, so I have to kind of go on par with that. Everybody has labor shortage, everybody has inventory shortage, so
Yeah.
it is what it is. Every industry is experiencing the same thing.
Right. And that's kind of same thing I tell people. It's like, we can't control it.
That being said, every industry, at least the entertainment industry that I know of, is having record years. I mean, we're having a great year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if movie theaters are necessarily bouncing back. That's entertainment, but
They're kind of sitting flat.
It's record years for Walmart. Walmart just reported record earnings.
Yep.
But when we look at sales metrics, things like that, it could be a circumstance where we sell the same amount of product, but because prices are higher, which is not an us thing, it's an industry, that's an economic thing.
Right.
Of course, our number is going to be higher just based off of overall pricing. But I mean, as far as the bowling industry as a whole, I like to think that it's growing. I mean, we have leagues back at Madison, my home center. Leagues are higher there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think leagues are higher in Kenner, which I haven't talked to many people down there. But you said there's 60 lanes going on Monday night. That's not the case of what it was in 2016 when I left.
Yeah, no. Sundays 48 lanes. Monday is 60. Tuesday is at least 20. Wednesday it's half the house. Susan's league on Thursday is 45, 46 teams. I think they have one bye, which whatever. I mean, that's still 3/4 of the house.
I know
it's growing.
Our high school bowling is growing exponentially. I mean, I live in an area of North Alabama that is booming. That's doing very well. And at least there, I think when I first moved back to Alabama, we had probably 6 schools that had bowling teams. Now, those 6 schools, I mean, it's more than that now. It's probably 10 or 12 now that actually have bowling teams. But now some of those bigger schools are actually having to make cuts. I mean, even in Louisiana, when high school bowling first dawned for me down there early on, 2008, 2009, with Brian Jr. there, with Rummel, he was one of the inaugural players on that team, and now it's like you got to make the cut. That was never the case before. Now you actually have to make the cut, like it's the one, a number one sport. I mean, I didn't have to try out for the golf team in my high school, and I was terrible. I still am, but I didn't have to try out. I was just on the team because it was such a small sport, and that's the way bowling was too. But now on those bigger schools, even in North Alabama, you got to be able to play at least somewhat. I mean, maybe it's only average 170, but still, that's a little bit of a hurdle.
You see, here it's kind of changed with high school bowling. Whenever I first moved here, I mean, high school bowling was great. There's plenty of kids, there's plenty of schools kind of participating. But here over the last year, I feel like it's fizzled out a little bit. And that's just because of the fact that we had a lot of people. I mean, Adam's graduating class was probably a big proponent to it going downhill because they've had a lot of kids graduate. But then there's not.
Adam went to St. Aug, right?
No, he went to East Jefferson.
He went to EJ? Okay.
Yeah, so he went to EJ, but most of his class year were majority of the bowlers that bowled in high school here. So now we're waiting on middle schoolers and stuff like that to get into high school, and everything is just kind of plateaued. I feel like obviously there's some schools that still have plenty of bowlers. Like Brother Martin is obviously still just as big. Though I can never remember. It's a Chappelle. Yeah, Chappelle has all the girls still, but it's one of those things where like it's kind of leveled out, and it's like there's some, but it's a lot smaller and a lot less than it used to be, and we're all kind of just sitting here waiting to see what happens, in the next couple of years. I definitely see a lot more kids bowling, but I also don't see kids in the high school range bowling, which is kind of weird in the sense that, I mean, there's not a lot to do in the area, right? So like you can go downtown and go clubbing, or, Bourbon Street, all that stuff, or you're in the bowling center. I mean,
I got tagged in a picture on Facebook today of me and a group of people at a bar called Red Eye down there. I don't know if you found that place yet. Nope. You're better off if you don't, but it reminded me how old I am, because that was 12 years ago, I think. It was all the 20-somethings that hung out in that place. And that was a bar that didn't really start up until, roughly 1 a.m.
Right.
Kind of blows my mind now, but that's what it was.
Jesus, a bar that starts at 1 o'clock in the morning. I can't do it anymore. Have I told you?
More? What, you're 24, right?
25. Even then. Nah, dude, not anymore.
Whatever.
I've been taking, so these last 2 regional trips, I took the extra day on the front side of it to be able to like do a vacation day, like a true vacation day. And the last one to Jonesboro, that Thursday, was from 8 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the morning. And it was drinking on the first flight, second flight, all throughout the day, all throughout the night. And then same thing with Lubbock. Lubbock, I started my day at 3 o'clock in the morning. We got back to my buddy's apartment at 3 o'clock in the morning on Friday from all the bars and all that. So that was a lot of fun.
Did you get to hang out with my girl Corinne up there in Jonesboro?
Oh my God, she is awesome.
I'm telling you, man.
Hands down, best proprietor that we've ever run into. So somebody had made a complaint about a pair because one of the racks was, crooked. And she literally stopped us bowling for 5 minutes just to get her mechanic in there, and literally just like got the whole thing turned in that like 5 or 10 minute period that we waited. But all the snacks, literally was walking around handing people water, like walking up to bowlers, literally talking to them and being like, hey, do you need anything? A snack, water, this, that, the other. Harley introduced me to her, and she was super thankful that I came out and like was like, oh no, we love Bowling Road as long as you just don't work with Harley. I was like, oh. But she's awesome. No, I was really thankful. We don't get a lot of love on the PBA regional tour. Like I think we've had 3 events.
Oh, they're huge on that. I mean, anytime I go into that bowling center, it's just that's they love their bowlers there. And between Corinne and Kelly and Stacy there, it's just, I mean, I can't think of better people to run an establishment than those guys.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely phenomenal. We've had like maybe 3 stops this year that I've been to. I bowled 5 so far, but out of those 5, only 3 have had like full waters, like plastered everywhere. Like we just had water sitting in every single possible corner that we possibly could reach, to the point where like
who won that event?
Was it Matt Russo? Yeah, it was Matt Russo.
I know it was a lefty.
Oh yeah, no, he had a blast. He had my look, but from 4th arrow with
Matt's
a purple
lefty,
hammer.
isn't he?
Yep.
Of course he is.
Yeah, but he purple hammer, swung it all day, super slow wheeled it. Like it was like his A game.
I don't know how you guys throw urethane like that, man. I guess I just suck at throwing the bowling ball because I just never have a look with urethane.
More surface. I learned it.
You told me that not too long ago, and I was actually in Roanoke, Virginia, a couple weeks ago, and give you just a little bit of background on the place. They had just replaced an AC unit, and the AC unit they replaced also controlled the pro shop. Right. So I was covering a shift for a new guy up there who had already had a vacation planned. So I was covering a shift for him. And I was doing everything I could to just stay busy, to stay warm. I was freezing. It was 60 degrees in there from the time I started at 11 o'clock in the morning until I left at 9 o'clock at night. It was freezing cold in there. And at one point, I went out there to bowl because there's nobody at the bowling center at the middle of the day. I went there to bowl just to warm up. And I had urethane. I had the purple hammer with me, so I was throwing it and just couldn't get a look. So I was like, okay. Patrick told me to put more urethane or put more surface on it, so I did. and that ball rolled great for about 5 shots. And
Right.
again, because obviously the ball has traction, has you know, in the
Yeah.
industry, not service competition, it
Right,
has
right.
traction in the industry. I just can't throw it. I just don't have a look. But maybe it's because it's a house shot. But the first 5 shots, it did that.
So this is, I tell a lot of people, so the first, like, it takes, after hitting a urethane ball, especially the purple hammer, and this is what I tell everybody: purple hammer, double cross, take a lot to be able to break them in after you hit them with surface, but you have to hit them with surface.
Well,
It's
shit, I
like,
got
I
probably
think,
100 games, and then, well, that's probably not true. I got about 30 games on, to be honest, because I never threw.
right. So like for me, it's, you have to hit them with surface if you're bowling on patterns, and you have to do it before you start bowling, and like let them sit overnight. So like my purples that I threw at Jonesboro, I hit with surface
Why
the
do you let it
Friday
sit
night
overnight?
before. I don't know what it is. Honest to God,
Do you let it
I
sit
hit
in
them with
acetone overnight?
no.
I mean, hey, that's a fair question from the 80s.
To be fair, I did throw a Kentucky purple at Jonesboro. So I'm sitting there.
You told me about that.
I'm sitting there, and
Hey,
I'm
bartender.
me and Sambo Butler from Texarkana. We're talking.
Sorry.
He said pour mine in there.
Anyway,
Right. But yeah, no. So me and Sambo are talking, and then Tanner mentions having one, and I said, "What do you want?" And I was like, "I'll literally just throw you 2 balls. Like, just tell me. I'll make sure you get 2 balls." So I go drill it, but no, for real though. Purples need to have like 500 to 1,000 grit on them, hit fresh before you start bowling on a pattern.
I put 800 on mine.
You see, so the key whenever you're bowling on house with them is going up to 2,000 with them. That's something I learned here recently from people that told me whenever they bowled on house shots or modified house shots, that they hit their purples with like 1,000 to 2,000 to get them to be cleaner through the front. Because that's why you feel like whenever you're throwing it in the direction, it either super jerks or it just sits there, right? Because it's seeing it so early, and with the lower differential, not enough, and with too much surface, it sees it too much overall. So I tell a lot of people, it's like patterns, 500 grit, maybe 1,000, depending on the pattern length, as well as just like the center. Like we ran into Waxahachie and Hilltop Lanes, and I mean, that place hooks like no other. And I probably threw the wrong surface on bowling balls, so I just had to kind of deal with what I had. But next time I hit that bowling center, higher surface levels, and probably just throw them as soon as I hit them with surface. But yeah, no, urethane definitely a tough kind of thing to figure out whenever you're first kind of trying to figure it out. And on top of that, if you know your pass doesn't look really good with urethane, like I was
good.
absolutely terrible with.
No ice in there.
I was
absolutely.
I know, right? Golly,
Ooh,
trying to
good. Look at that cold air coming out of there.
right. But yeah, no. I know from the past I was terrible with urethane. I tell people all the time, like, you asked me 6 months ago, Patrick, throw a urethane ball. There's no chance, like 0 chance whatsoever. I will not throw a urethane bowling ball. But now it's like
I'm a house hack man. So
yeah, no.
if it doesn't create this much room for me, then I'm gonna throw a ghost or
no. All you need is a Black Widow Ghost.
I need a Widow, or
you need a Widow Ghost. You need a Stealth, and you need a Game Breaker for a Pearl.
I've seen so many scores up with a Stealth. I really want one of those.
Throw one. I think you know where to get one. There's only about 80 something locations at this point to get one from.
Yeah,
and you probably
I'm having trouble getting the bowling balls. That's not the problem.
Let's see. I love urethane from Eddie. Says, I love urethane. I definitely want to try the Pink Widow at the demo day.
You shit out of luck.
Yeah, no. Demo day doesn't have
no pink urethane,
balls.
man.
No pinks, no purples.
Aged by now.
Yeah, no. It's like what, a year old? No, not even. It's like 4 or 5 months old. No.
Yeah, no pink there. Actually, no urethane early on. I mean, the attitude's out there, but we didn't do that in the demo set currently.
Yeah, it's already a couple months too old. I mean, we had all those releases for Bowl Expo.
Which one I'm really excited about, though, as far as the demo lineup goes, Polaris Hybrid.
Polaris Hybrid is definitely...
And the Evo. Those balls look stupid good.
So I just finally got to throw the Evo Hybrid 2 days ago, and I filmed the shots of me throwing that ball down the lane. That ball, after I've got the cover broken in a little bit, rolls so good. Because the first couple shots, I was like, this is like the Evo Solid all over again. Not really excited. And then after putting like a game or two on it and like finally getting to film it, going down the lane and actually seeing the motion and like slow mo, I'm like, this might be the best rolling Evo that I've thrown. And like, I love the Evo Pearl,
It
but
looks good.
wasn't a fan of the Solid because it saw it too much on the fronts. But then this hybrid did the same thing as the Solid right at the beginning, and then after it got shiny, it was phenomenal.
Well, I
Like,
gotta be honest, man. For me, so much because I'm looking at it from a sales standpoint. So much of it for me is just the aesthetic, just the way the ball looks.
right,
And the Evo hybrid looks so good. The Trailblazer Solid looks amazing. That ball just physically wasn't a fan on the ad slick. When I look at it in pictures, I was like, okay, it's another black and blue ball, silver.
right,
It's not, anything new, but then you get it out of the, ooh, that's my bartender. Once you get it out of the box, man, that ball looks so good.
right.
It really does.
Yeah, no.
I'm blown away about that.
And then Polaris Hybrid was another one of those that was.
Is there a light out here you turn on? Sure there is. I bet there's a switch and try hard enough. Hey.
There we go. But yeah, no, Polaris Hybrid was one of those that I was super not excited about. But Polaris Hybrid was one that I was like super excited about because I was like, please be better than the Solid. Because the Solid, again, super strong cover, super big core.
Which one? Polaris?
The Polaris, yeah. So the Solid wasn't all that phenomenal. Like the original, the Solid, wasn't a big fan of it. It saw too much of the front of the lane. It saw too much in the middle. It was just overall.
Sales would agree with that.
Yeah, overall, too strong. I think I held on to one for way too long. I finally got it sold, and I was like, never ordering that ball again. Point blank period.
I think Ebonite's kind of struggle a little bit with brand recognition. I mean, if it doesn't say Game Breaker on it, then the Ebonite ball doesn't sell very well. If it says Game Breaker on it, then everybody's buying it.
Yeah, exactly. I sold a zillion Game Breaker for pearls and a zillion of the 4 solids.
Yeah.
And after that, I mean,
Hammer's got the brand recognition, so if it has a hammer on it, the ball's going to do pretty well.
100%.
But if it has a spider on it, it's going to do even better.
Right? No, that's very true. Dark Web sold really well so far. It's still here and there. I mean, people still come in looking for it. I thought about taking off the wall for this new current set of releases, and then somebody came in as I was already thinking about it. I was like, never mind, I can't do it.
Well, Eddie, that one's in the demo lineup.
There you go. Yeah, no, I was gonna pull up the demo lineup here. Let me see if I can share my screen of this. And let me remove this banner
that Melee too. The Melee, that Paragon, man, those balls look so good. Trailblazer, yeah, yep. we got a great lineup. I mean, I'm anxious to see what the Hellcat does. I haven't seen that one go down the lane yet. I like the way it physically looks, which is a big part for me because I like shelf appeal.
Right.
I'm anxious to see how that one looks. I actually drilled a full set of grips for myself just for the demo because I use a particular. Well, there you go. There's an answer for it.
Yep.
I drilled a full set of grips just for the demo lineup so I can go through and throw 3 shots and, my dress shoes and be done with it.
Right. Hey, I still have your thumb slug, by the way. You remember that one thumb?
No, actually, you drilled a second one for me. The second one's the one that I'm using. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You did the first one. Actually, the second one, the blue one, is the one that I'm using.
Yeah.
So.
Hell yes.
And I got to give you credit because you did that without M mills, and that's impressive.
Can I get a set of M mills? Is that a thing?
No.
Can I make a phone call?
No? You do good enough without them.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, but
actually I have a couple M mills in the warehouse that I might be able to send you. We'll see.
Okay.
No
all right.
promises.
I need that, and then I need the big hooks for bags. The big wall hooks, like the heavy duty, like the square.
Yeah, we call those face outs. Yeah.
Whatever those are.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, here's a Bullapalooza schedule, as well as the lineup that we have going on for this schedule right here in particular. So we have the Trailblazer Solid, the Crypto, the Evo Hybrid, the Hellcat, the Polaris Hybrid, the Dark Web, the Melee Jab Carbon, and the Paragon Hybrid. Out of this set of releases, obviously the Paragon Hybrid has gotten a lot of hype. The Crypto, the Melee, and the Hellcat have also gotten a lot of hype. I haven't really thrown my Paragon Hybrid yet, so I can't really tell anybody. My Paragon Hybrid did start cracking, though, already. I threw it 3 shots so far, and the fingers are already spiderweb cracking.
I'm going to talk to your ball driller about that.
I know. I guess I didn't do enough bevel on that one, which I do the same amount on every ball. But, oh well. The Hellcat's actually really good. It's so you would think that the Hellcat, because of how it looks right out the box, it literally would just hook off the lane, but it doesn't. It's probably the cleanest, solid, asymmetric bowling ball that I put in my hands in the last year.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see how that one goes down the lane. I mean, I can't get over the looks of that Evo hybrid though, because I mean, like I said,
no, the green, the silver.
So many when bowling balls come out. I mean, how much has technology actually changed? So to me, it's like shelf appeal and brand recognition and these kinds of things. And where does it fit in your bag? But man, that ball just looks so good. I remember having a conversation with Nick Tomaszewski years ago when he was with Ebonite in Hopkinsville about if you only put 3 colors in a bowling ball, there's a finite amount of options you're ever going to have.
Right.
Granted, it's a lot. There's a finite amount though, and those 3 colors have been used in bowling balls before, but they look different. It's a little bit higher silver. It's a little bit here, whatever you want to call it, a little lighter green, whatever.
Right.
The ball looks so good.
Phenomenal. Yeah, no. It's one of those things that I was sitting here taking pictures because people always know whenever I'm doing pictures because they'll like walk up and watch me take all these pictures because I'll be laying on the ground taking all these different angles, trying to figure out like what makes the bowling ball look best. I was sitting there and I was like, honestly, I just don't even want to I literally turned off all my lights. I took a few pictures of this ball just on its own, no extra lighting, normal camera settings, nothing crazy. And the ball looked just great. Like absolutely the best pictures I took was of that ball whenever I took that, the Paragon, the Melee, and I think I did also the Polaris along with them. Just Quantum Evo Hybrid, best shelf appeal. I just put them up on the wall, and that's like the first thing people like gravitated to whenever they were walking through the shop and looking into the back. And I was like, yeah, no, that ball just came out, looks really good, so on and so forth. And people are like, I just can't get my eyes off of it. And they're like, we'll be back. There's definitely going to be a few purchases made this week, which is really good. Let's see. If it has a spider or it has is a black ball, it sells, says Mitch Young. And that is very true.
Hey, I know that guy.
Stealth sold really, really well. I think so, at least. I mean, I couldn't keep them on the wall really, really at all. And then anything with a spider.
Perfectly honest, I mean, if they put a spider and a hammer on it, the ball's it could roll like trash and the ball will sell.
Right.
Look at the original Black Widow Pearl. I mean, personally, I didn't think the ball were all worth a damn, but it was one of the best selling windows we've ever had. And that was back in 2007, 2008, something like that.
Right, exactly.
There's a lot of people that disagree with that. A lot of people think the ball rolled great, and I'm happy. With that. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, no, I've never been a big Black Widow fan. Like I tell people, it's like the Ghost.
You're crazy, man. No, you're crazy. Ghost roll's great. 2.0 roll's great.
My Ghost
2.0 especially. I mean, the Ghost for me is situational. I gotta have friction down lane.
Yep. It has to be like that. Super clip.
The first ball out of my bag.
I can't throw the 2.0. I didn't like it. It felt like it hooked a lot. It hooked too much in the fronts, which again, it just depending on your situation.
Must be your 700 rev rate.
Easily. It's my 700 rev rate. Let's see. We have a little question here from Michelle Connor. What surface do I have to hit my blue hammer with, and what pad? And I'm assuming what is your name? Well, my name is Patrick. This is Alex Handback over here. Blue hammer. Oh, I just had a customer talk to me about a blue hammer the other day because he has
OG
a fab.
Blue hammer.
Yeah, is a fab.
Fall ball blue hammer.
Yeah, if it's a fall ball blue hammer or even the Kentucky blue hammer, I would say anywhere from 500 to 1,000.
The Kentucky blue hammer was not urethane. That was reactive. I don't care. Anyways,
it was.
That fucker absorbed oil.
It hooked and it absorbed, and it was a lot. That ball was kind of different. It was built different for sure. But what surface I would hit it with would be probably between 500 and 1,000, depending on where you're bowling and what exactly you're looking to achieve. If you want it to be a little bit cleaner and push a little bit more, I would hit it with 1,000. If you're looking to see more in the fronts, I would just hit it with 5. I never really go below 500 when it comes to hitting a urethane ball. I mean, just in general, just any ball. I feel like 180 to like 360 just isn't really necessary unless you're resurfacing a ball fully. And the type of pads that I would use would be the CTD True Cut pads. That might be a little biased because I just signed my regional deal with them.
It makes good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's good stuff. I love it. So far, so good. Nothing has been bad. Let's see. Definitely gonna throw the Paragon. I like the OG one. The original Paragon was really good. I mean, I threw mine probably for the
Hey,
like
they can remake that blue Paradox 1,000 times. I'll get every one of them.
100%. I think I tell people the way that you can tell if I like the bowling ball is I throw it more than 4 times in league. Like if I go 4 weeks back to back and I throw it
Easy
further
with
than
you on
that,
that.
yep,
Now I got to bowl more than 4 times in a month to be able to agree
right,
with that.
exactly. People are like, man, if we don't see you throw the ball for more than 4 weeks, we know it's not good. I was like, well, looks like I need to make sure balls stay in rotation a little longer.
You know, maybe you should start bowling right-handed.
I could. I
Could you?
honestly, I can. I have to bowl two-handed, and I look really goofy. Like,
You look goofy anyway.
exactly. Have you ever watched the Goofy movie wherever he's trying to like roller skate and stuff? I look like Goofy trying to roller skate for the first time while bowling right-handed.
I was thinking you look goofy left-handed, but you know.
Oh boy. Here we go. Here's a fellow regional player. Made the cut by 3 pins. LMAO. Nick is a Houston local. There's currently a regional that everybody told me I should go bowl, and I didn't go bowl. Mainly because of the
Lucy?
no, it's the regional in Houston at Emerald Bowl. It is a non-champions.
Gotcha.
Now, a lot of people ask me why I didn't go bowl. I didn't go bowl because of the fact that it doesn't count for the RPI or the Southwest Invite points. And that's the only reason I didn't go bowl, because it felt like it wasn't going to be worth the money. And off of the scores, what's the cut? Like minus, I mean, you were 3 off, so that means that it was minus like 50-ish, roughly.
I'm assuming you know this guy.
And it was a grind fest over at that regional, so I didn't want to really try to go grind that out. On top of the fact that it didn't count for points. What else do we have here? Let's see. Justin C. Would the new Messenger Solid be a better step down from Approved Pearl
Well, that's a big
over
jump
the Heat?
down.
Yeah, so I feel like in this case, from Approved Pearl to a Heat to a Messenger Solid would be a good step down if you had all 3 together. Because then you have your cleaner, bigger ball. Then you have your more rounded, blended shape.
Is that this sounds kind of stupid, but the original remake, because the original remake of the Heat was the nuts. That ball was
Which one?
bullets. The red one, the dark red one, the original remake. The first Heat that remade in like, I don't know, 2013, 14, 15, 16. Well, I don't know what year it was, but
right.
The original remake, the burgundy color pearl, that ball was so good.
That was very good. I had 2 of those in my bag whenever that ball came out.
And again,
that's right about
here. House hack.
Yeah,
I mean, I can have a 220 on easy. But
that's about the time frame where I was starting to get into bowling. So I threw the maroon remake one several times over.
So good.
So good. I threw that league. Oh man, I couldn't go to league without one of those. But yeah, no, I would say if it's the Heat, like the ultraviolet Heat that currently is out, I would probably say you could probably match both the Messenger Solid and the Magenta Heat together.
Are they
and
still
give
making
yourself?
that ball?
Yeah, they are. It's gonna stay in the line, I think.
Good.
Yeah, it rolls good. I mean, I have one. I haven't taken it out of the bag in a while. Oh, mine is cracked. That's why I haven't taken mine out of the bag in a while. But it's split in half. But I would say both those balls together would be a better combo. If not, just a stronger layout on the Messenger Solid to give you some like bridge between the big gap. Because again, the Proof Pearl is like mid to high performance, and then you have the Messenger Solid, which is, I mean,
well, the Proof Pearl was also the nuts. How about the red one, right?
No, the blue and or the black and blue, the black and silver one. The black and silver one.
You're right. I think
the blue one is the solid or the hybrid, the solid, whatever it was. Yeah. But yeah, no, definitely all 3 together to give yourself a better bridge going down it, or just stronger layout on the Messenger Solid. Let's see. Alex is my hero from Bubba. Hey,
my boy.
There's Bubba. Let's see.
I love me some Bubba Minnick.
All right. Best decision was getting my stealth. It's so smooth from Katie Page. Katie is a local Nebraskan bowler. Yeah, Nebraskan bowler.
She has good taste.
Yep, exactly. Best ball. I think honestly, I need to draw a couple more stealths just to kind of see.
I feel like I need to draw one.
Draw one. What you're bowling? Hey, you committed to a league. You have to at least in one of those 12 weeks. You have to throw it at least once.
And my newest ball right now is
your speed. Power Torque Pearl.
No, I left both of those in Vegas, man. I just didn't want to carry them on the airport, and I have so many bowling balls. They just didn't. I love both those. I mean, the speed especially. I'm gonna get another speed. The Power Tour Pearl I had was a great bowling ball, but I didn't use it at nationals, and the stress of carrying it through Las Vegas to the airport and everything else.
I can tell you right now, the only thing that saved me from Vegas and carrying those balls back was the fact that they offered to ship them back at Classic.
Oh yeah, must be nice because they wanted $110 from me from Bowling Ball Exchange, and I wasn't going to pay it.
Oh,
I got 30 bowling balls, man.
I went
honestly,
over.
I actually on top of that, I left the Power Trip Pearl, the Speed, and our Bowling World.
You left the spare ball?
Yeah, let the spare ball. Well, I mean, think about it in my perspective though. If I'm going to give away a bowling ball for somebody for free, I want to have my logo on it.
Fair enough. It's free advertisement. That's pretty fair. No, I called them and I was like, hey, do you guys just mind shipping back my stuff? Now, it did take 4 weeks for me to get my stuff back, which, we're okay. We got our stuff. It had my purples.
I won one of the major prizes. Did you do the thing that Classic had there at the trade show?
No.
The cards. You didn't do that?
No, I was running around with my head cut off like a chicken trying to film stuff.
Dude, I've been to probably 10 Classic trade shows in Las Vegas, and this is the best one. Sarah had this thing where it was like a 5-card poker. I forget what it was, but you had to beat. They had their top row cards. They had 5 cards. You had 5 cards. You had to beat.
You had to beat them.
And then if you did that, then you moved on to a craps table basically against somebody else. And if you did that, you got entered into a drawing for a major prize. Well, I made it to the final, beat him, made the major prize, and I got a Razor hoverboard is what it was. It's a cool prize. I'm not going to use it because I'm 36 years old. I'm going to
send it down to Kenner.
Yeah,
just bring it down to Kenner and let me. I've literally said how I'm just gonna get like an electric skateboard just to go up and down the bowling center as I walk people's stuff down.
I thought about Eddie in that. Eddie in the back, he has a Razor scooter.
He has a massive Razor scooter, and it's fucking insane because you'll watch them go in the back, and it'll just be like zoom.
Yeah, it's a liability waiting to happen, but
hey man,
I'm not getting on that thing. I've been on one for like 10 seconds one time. I was like, okay, I am way too non-agile and way too old for this. I'm not doing this.
Right.
Nonsense.
It's funny because you and I have talked about how you used to bike from this apartment complex to the shop. And I was thinking about it. I was like, man, I could just buy an electric skateboard so I can just ride the longer way around like Vintage or whatever.
$1,000 though, man.
No, they went bankrupt. They don't exist.
Boosted did?
Boosted went bankrupt. You know why?
Sucks, man. I like this.
They couldn't keep up with the actual supply. Like there was so much demand for it, but there was not enough supply, and they wanted to keep the quality up. That's what I thought, and I was like, I don't know how you do it, especially whenever you have probably the biggest face on the internet, Casey Neistat, writing that thing on every single video.
That's who I saw it from.
How in the world do you run out of boosted boards and don't want to make more quicker because of the fact that
there's obviously supply chain issues or something in there. It's beyond their control. It's got to be.
But now there's probably 6 or 7 companies making all these different electric skateboards. I was looking at some, and they're not even expensive. Like now, a decent 18 to 20 mile range, 25 mile per hour one, $400 to $500.
25? Who the fuck's doing 25 on that? Sorry, my language.
I could do it.
No, screw that.
I could do it.
I could do 25
yes, I
on
could.
that.
100%.
Well, you might. I'm not.
Alex is over here I can't
way.
do it. No.
I mean, even to the back roads in Kenner, I ain't doing that. Ain't no way.
Oh, that's not that bad. I mean, I wouldn't do it the direct way to the shop.
Mountain bike on the sidewalk down Vintage.
I'm just I don't know. I'm addicted to danger. Let's see. Nick, cut was minus 53 at Emerald. So there you go. I mean, you weren't too far off. Let's see. I just became two-handed. I'm the one that told you about my obsession tour Pearl. Oh, this was on TikTok, I think. It's either on TikTok or one of these YouTube videos that this person told me about this.
That's what it is. That's the only ball out of my bag right now. I have an Obsession Tour Pearl and a Widow Ghost. That's the only 2 balls I throw in league right now.
You like your Obsession Sword Pearl?
Hell yeah, man. That ball
How
is
is it?
nuts.
Dude, I think just
Dude,
right-handers are
look,
weird. How do you
telling
like that ball?
You throw it that way, and that's it. It never does that. It never does that. But you have just it's on a string. I'm telling you, Obsession Tour Pearl, Obsession Tour. Both of those two balls. You have the burgundy and the pearl. I know, left-handed, you don't get it.
I mean, no, okay,
But
no. My
stupid
burgundy
good.
ball, phenomenal. I just don't think I didn't like my Obsession Sword Pearl. Maybe it was just
Obsession Tour Pearl, man. That is the nuts.
Maybe it was just me. I wasn't a big fan. I threw it for like a month, and it rolled good for the first couple weeks. It just started. I felt like it's hard.
To the right, you get free hook to the right and free hook down
There
lane.
I only
cannot miss right.
I only get free hook in the heads of the lane. That's the problem.
Well, just like earlier, just do that. Just loft a little bit. You're good.
Just a little bit. Let's see. Katie, you got my state right. Seriously though, bless you for suggesting the layout. Oh yeah, this was one of the. Patrick was really drunk and suggested a layout while he was drinking. Which sometimes my best ideas come from drinking. But some of my best videos have come right after drinking.
Did bowlers drink? I
think so. I don't know. Do you remember half of Vegas?
Half of it.
Exactly. So probably because of the drinking. I knew I didn't pay for it. I think I paid for two drinks. Two drinks in Vegas.
If there's anything I can say about the bowling industry as a whole is a community and we have a good time. You know, for me, the big picture is if I don't enjoy doing it, well, I'm going to do it. I enjoy my job. I have for 20 years. I enjoy the bowling part of it. If I get too competitive on it and don't enjoy what I'm doing, then I'm going to burn out on it. And I enjoy shooting 550 in Vegas, and I had a great time doing it. I mean, hell, we had what was that country music guy that was with us?
Jimmy Allen. Yeah, we got Jimmy Allen, the Cumble Nationals.
He was cool as shit, and I don't care about country music, but he was awesome, man. We just had like 4 shots with him, and
he was super chill. He's bowling all these events. He's bowling all these different events too. Like I've literally after Vegas, I probably saw him tagged in probably 30 posts.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, well, it was just like Jimmy Allen bowling this tournament, Jimmy Allen bowling this tournament. Oh my God, I get to bowl with Jimmy Allen, and
in our jersey, that was cool.
Exactly, and all the people that were standing behind, like Tim Foy Jr., Katie Verbal, and a few other people were standing behind Jeff, and I went up to talk to them, and they were like, "Hey, do you know Jimmy Allen?" I was like, "I have no clue who you're talking about. Not gonna lie to you." And they're like, "Oh, well, he's a famous country singer." I was like,
"I don't watch American Idol. Not my thing."
You see, I didn't even know that fact. It was on American Idol, I suppose.
So he knew one of the guys that was bowling with us that has for years, and that's how he got into our crew. And he was also friends vicariously through somebody else. But Joe called me over and said, "Hey, we're doing shots of Jimmy Allen." I was like, "Who else is Jimmy Allen? What? Oh, he's on that. Okay, celebrity, whatever. Okay, cool."
Right.
Talked to him for like 10 minutes. Like, "Oh, dude's cool as other side of the pillow. Awesome."
Exactly. And that's why I tell a lot of people, it's like, dude, you never really realize how chill and how cool some of these people that you get to meet are. Like, a lot of people are like, well, how is it that you know Kyle, and how is it that you know all these pros? And I'm like, simple. I bowl and I walk up to people. I'm like, hey, do you want a drink? Hey, do you want something? Hey, what's up, man? And just have conversations. Like, the biggest thing I can tell anybody is that walk up to all the bowlers, even like now that I have the popularity or the fame that some people want to put over me. I tell people, it's like, I still don't consider it that way. You see me at a bowling center and you want to say hi, walk up, offer me a drink. We're talking in a group and you want to just be part of the conversation, just join us, right? But at the end of the day, that's what the bowling community is just a collective of all people doing the same thing. Like, I've been doing this year is 9 years. Next year is a decade. Like, even thinking about that is like, how in the world have I been doing this a decade?
You're a child, man. You're a child.
But I started when I was 15.
I mean that 15, as 16. An endearing
I know. But even thinking about the fact that next year is a whole decade of me doing this, absolutely mind-blowing. And the only thing that's kept me going is the fact that, as you said, if you do it and you're doing it as if it wasn't a job, it's not going to feel like a job. Now, there's nights where it feels like a job.
Sure.
Nobody can lie, right? But at the end of the day, seeing the end result of it all is what makes it worth every single moment possible, right? Like I can sit here all night and edit video all night and do all this stuff and then wake up early, go to the shop and start drilling balls as soon as I walk in. Doesn't feel like anything, because at the end of the day, getting to hang out with a bunch of different people and get to meet all these different people to be able to help and be able to grow what we have put together over this last decade or whatever.
Well, I mean,
right?
that's the best part about our industry, man. It's never work in the big picture.
Right.
You know, we get to nerd out on layouts and ball reaction and helping people get better at what they're trying to achieve. So, you know, it's never felt like work to me in any capacity aside from the day in, day out, just spending so much time in there of doing the monotonous stuff. And of course you have your bad instances where somebody comes in about say a ball damage that's, you know, unrepairable, and then your issues with the bowling center not wanting to replace it. So then you got to play the intermediary of, you feel like you're being screwed because of this, but they kind of got a point. So now I feel like a bad guy. And
yeah, I mean that happens now. What, like one every like 100 ball damages?
Yeah,
I haven't.
One out of 50, maybe.
I've had maybe 2 or 3 that I've had to replace this year, and like they have to be like to the point where like they truly aren't repairable, or the person is super picky to the point where it's like it's not it's repairable, but it's repairable to the point where it's going to affect how it slightly might roll. But even then, like most of the repairs,
even then, it should be pretty minimal, because I mean, you got to understand that it's sporting equipment. You know, that same person probably does something other than bowling as a sporting event. So, 100%. You know, let's just say they play tennis or softball or whatever it is. So, look, your tennis racket or your baseball bat is damaged. You don't blame that on the it's your truck. You don't blame that on the field. You know, that's not the court's problem.
Right.
You know, it happens. It's kind of thing. You're throwing
a bowling ball.
My favorite thing to go down. My early students, one of my favorite things to do with my early students as they're a 120 average bowler is to take them down 60 feet down the lane and let them watch a bowling ball go through the pins. Now, that doesn't show them what happens to the machine. You know, they don't see the lift rod take it up and go up the rails and go through all this stuff. They don't see that. But just going through the pin, say, look, there's a lot of physical action that's going on there.
Exactly.
There's a lot of stuff happening. If you expect your bowling ball to never get scratched, you are being I had
a customer buy a brand new ball online. He got it drilled elsewhere, came into the bowling center. He has like you literally could take a hair off your head and put it on the bowling ball, and that's what it looks like. And he begged the bowling center to get it fixed. I got it, and I was like, man, you want me to resurface a brand new bowling ball that you've thrown exactly 5 times? I was like, I'll make more damage to it.
There's more detriment than positive.
Exactly. Absolutely. And I told him, I was like, you want me to do it, I will be more than glad to do it. And if you're just doing this because of the fact that you want them to quote unquote fix their lanes, you can't fix something that's everlasting. Like it's something that no matter what you do, scratches are going to happen, scuff marks are going to happen.
That goes directly into what one of my main responsibilities is this interaction between the pro shop to the proprietor to the customer. You know, we want to be that intermediary where, you know, if somebody comes into my bowling center and something actually happens, whether it's minor, whether it's major, if it needs replacement, if it needs resurface, whatever, I want them to come to me first. Right. And let me be that intermediary there and say, hey, this is a problem. Hey, this is not a problem. So this is the kind of stuff that happens. It's minor.
Right.
But it's sporting equipment. It's going to happen. This kind of thing is going to happen. But if that does, at the end of the day, if that kind of thing happens and it is something major, and you know, say, hey, look, this is a problem and we'll fix it. But this kind of stuff happens. Let me take that pressure off the proprietor to make their customer happy. I can make their customer happy.
Right.
Say, look, I'll take care of this issue. If it's something
we'll fix it, replace it, whatever.
If it needs to be replaced, I'll be that vector for you. I will handle this for you. You don't have to talk to them. If it needs to be replaced, I'll get it replaced.
Right, simple. Exactly. And that's the best thing about my situation now is that people come to me, they show me the damage. I'm like, yeah, that's something that we can fix, or it's something that we can replace. Take it up to the front counter, fill out the paperwork. They'll bring it to me later tonight. At one point, we'll get it fixed. I'll give you a call whenever it's ready or whenever the replacement comes in, and so on and so forth. And then on top of that, then it allows me to grab all that paperwork and be able to walk through with the mechanics. And now I just go to Mooney and the guys in the back directly. And I'm like, hey guys, this is what I've seen so far. Can you guys check on all this stuff?
Well,
And I can tell you right now, little by little, things are being getting fixed. All the ball tracks have been getting replaced little by little. It's one of those things that it's better whenever customers realize that we have that ability to help, but you also have to be understanding of the situation at hand.
We had to be the forefront of, we're not necessarily an employee of the bowling center that we work in, but we are at least, a tangible benefit for them. We're basically a free employee. We have to speak on their behalf a lot of times. Now, that's not always going to be, it can't always be bees and flowers. It's not always a positive thing for them. We have to be able to address the negatives, but we have to also be able to smooth them over and shine light on a neutral perspective of what's actually happening.
Right.
And the likelihood that Mooney is watching this, that's for you, buddy.
I'll make sure I clip it. Send it straight to him.
Yeah, send it to him. I love the guy. He's done a lot for me. I love that guy. He's a brother of mine.
Right.
But that's still for him.
Right. Let's see. Going down this list, Bubba says, I'm looking at an electric bike to go back and forth from New York. There's a lot of cool electric bikes. That Super 76 looks really cool. There's a new one from a company called Land that it like can go literally 60 miles an hour. It's a bike. It goes 60 miles an hour. I'm like, I don't know if that's a bike anymore.
Bubba does a great job for us up there in coastal Virginia, and I think we're proud of that guy.
Let's see. He also said Obsession Tour Pearl short pin.
Why do you need a short pin on a tour ball?
Ultimate tournament ball.
It's a low diff ball. What do you need a short pin?
No.
5.5, 2. Who cares?
It's a
low diff ball.
I have one ball with a short pin.
Too much emphasis on the damn layout, man. Pick your ball first. That's one of my biggest gripes in this industry is so many people want to put so much emphasis on the layout. I've had more times than I'm willing to admit somebody come in and say, hey, I have this bowling ball. This is the layout Jason Belmonte had on it. I want to win the U.S. Open. So, well, you better practice.
Exactly. You better do a whole lot of practicing. I tell people it's like, okay, you know what? Ron Hicklin, best one to say it. Layout is 7% of the ball. Literally 7%. It's all about surface and the core.
I'd say it's low. I don't know about 7. I mean, he obviously has a lot more data than I do.
Yeah, no, he has.
I don't know about 7.
He has the engineering behind it. I'd say
tertiary at best. Sure.
I would say 10 to 20. I say 10 to 20% on layout.
That's my vernacular as well. 10, 20.
The rest of it is surface and core and the cover, right? And I tell people it's like, honestly, the first thing I look at is cover, core. And then after that, surface is interchangeable. So if you want this this core to do a little more or less, surface.
I like to think that people outside of this industry aren't the same, but I got to imagine that it is. I play a lot of golf. I got to imagine that there's particular guys that come into their pro shop and say, I just bought this driver. I'm not hitting it 300 yards straight. Well, that's because you suck at golf.
Yeah, practice more. Get more practice in.
So just because you hit the same driver as Rory or Dustin Johnson, you're not going to hit the same distance. And that's honestly happened to me. Somebody has come in. It was what was the first bubble ball? Timeless.
The Timeless. Oh, my Lord.
When that ball came out, now he didn't even win the U.S. Open with that ball.
No,
but
he won the Masters or the Tournament Champions.
Whatever it was. That's irrelevant.
Yeah.
They brought in this ball and said, hey, Jason had this layout on this ball. I want to win. So, well, you need to throw it like Jason then.
Yep.
That's
be able to stand in front of the ball return and launch it.
There's such a division between buying talent and talent. You can't buy the talent.
Well, and that's why. So this is a conversation that I have with a lot of tour guys. A lot of the tour guys will mention on YouTube videos, and like Brad and Kyle's videos are the best proponent of this information. But they will tell you that everybody out there is equally as talented to bowl against each other. The difference in between the guys that are always in the top 10 versus the guys that are in the bottom 10 is that the top 10 guys are drilling a ball every 2 or 3 hours. And when I say that in like the most like casual way possible. Like
top 10 are?
The top 10 are drilling balls. Like if they see their ball not doing the exact right thing, all they do is just go drill another one slightly different to be able to get them where they need to be. And that's literally all they do is just fill in gaps. And I tell people, it's like after that, it's just literally about what you're physically doing.
Well, you're leading into a very big luxury there, because I mean, your average baller can't do that. I mean, certainly not on House Shot League on Wednesday night, you know.
And that kind of comes into the play of, but you have to think about it in the sense of like, you're talking about the top 1% is doing that because
splitting boards like this.
Exactly. The top 1% versus a league bowler who needs to be worried about getting this. And if a ball can give you this and you can physically throw it in that zone, that's all you should do.
If the ball gives you this, you should average 230 on House Shot.
100%. Easily. 100% easily. Let's see. Let's keep going down this list. There's a lot here. We've kind of skipped over a few. Hell yeah, we drink from Katie. Yeah, that's something. I mean, Alex has been drinking on sweet tea for the last who knows how many hours at this point.
Yeah, only 2.
Only 2. Okay, that's record breaking. It's that low.
No, it's not. We're getting there though.
That's what I'm about to do as soon as we're done. Let's see. I still never met any pro bowlers yet. Would like to one day. You're in like the perfect area because he's in the same area as Matt and Austin in Chattanooga. But I mean, I feel like a lot of pros go around that area. You also have the McCorby's Bowling World Scratch Tour that kind of floats in that area. And we have a lot of pros that go to the Scratch Tour. Let's see. There's a lot of stuff here. Okay. Any center damage? Any center not paying for damages that occurred there is maybe not a crap center.
That's a delicate situation as a pro shop.
Yeah, so
operator.
It truly comes down to how the pro shop, and Alex is better at answering this part of the question, but it truly comes down to what the agreement between the pro shop and the bowling center is as to how that damage is handled when it comes down to it.
You know, when it comes to that, Katie, we have to be super sensitive about the way we hand these kinds of things. I mean,
yeah,
you know, we need the proprietor a lot more than they need us. Now, we're always going to speak on the bowling center's behalf, but we want to keep the customer happy too. So we have to play it not necessarily evenly, but in a way that's going to satisfy both parties, of course.
Right.
So personally, I'm not going to be dishonest. I'm not going to tell the customer it's not a problem when it is. But if it's legitimately not a problem, and if it's really not, a lot of times it looks a lot worse than it is, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
But if it is a problem, I'm going to do everything in my power to get them to fix it. You know, if it's a problem where, you know, it's a gouge across the track and it's this chunk taken out, most of the time that's pretty obvious. That's pretty obvious. Now, the bowling center doesn't want to fix it beyond the obvious, then, you know, my hands are kind of tied and.
Yeah, so it just truly depends. I mean, there's some times where it also comes down to like what kind of bowling ball we're talking. Are we talking about like the ball that you bought 2 weeks ago and it got damaged to the point where it needs replacing and maybe the bowling center doesn't? Or is it, let's say, you're
feeling a triple XL in 2022 that's from 2004.
Exactly. So like, and that's a conversation. Eddie walked up to me today, and Eddie doesn't walk into the shop unless he really, really needs something. But he's like, hey, do you have something that could tell me if this ball is legally big enough? And I said, yeah, the ProSect. I was like, here, if you put this thing over the top of the bowling ball and you see how there's a gap on one side.
Was he doing this on the return rail?
It was just yo-yoing back and forth. Yeah. No, I think it wasn't even grabbing because the ball return like wasn't grabbing it up. It was just stuck in the spot.
Wait, no,
like right inside the door.
They don't have they have AMF machines there, don't they? They're not A2s, are they?
They're 8270s.
They're 270s. There's no lift rail.
Yeah, but it was stuck in the doorway. Like it wouldn't go up.
Okay, I got
it wouldn't get picked up. And Eddie basically told the guy, I was like, look, this tool tells you if the ball is too small because this is like the circumference of the ball. And he basically told him, I was like, we can't do anything about it getting stuck. We can move you around, but we can move you to 6 different lanes. It's probably going to do the same thing. And some people, it's like
some acetone.
Exactly. Wipe it down with some acetone, hope it grabs, and that's about it. So it truly just depends. Let's see. Mercury, bike going sissy. I'm not asking for death. Look, man, it just depends on who you are. I want to, I told people
if it's
this
doing
year.
60, it better have a motor and a helmet.
Exactly. Well, no, I'm telling you, these e-bikes, they go anywhere from 30 to 60 miles per hour. Same thing with the skateboard going 30 miles per hour, dog. I'm so down for that.
No.
But I'm also crazy. So, let's see. I ordered some CTD 5500 polish today. Do I have some of that coming?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm excited about that because a lot of customers use that in my area now, and a lot of people just want me to use it in general. So that'll be a kind of a nice thing to have. Let's see. I'm coming down from a different perspective. Oh, here we go. This is a good one. I'm coming down from a different perspective too. My dad owns a bowling center in my hometown. Anytime there's serious damage, we do pay for the damage that is serious or cover the new ball if it needs to be replaced. So yeah, no. Again, it truly just depends on the situation. Exactly. It's all situational. It's one of those things that you can't tell a customer that you're going to replace like a 10-year-old bowling ball or a 15-year-old bowling ball, but you also can't tell a customer that something is not fixable in some sort of capacity. Like I've had people that come in with a ball that's 10, 15 years old and they want it fixed or want it replaced. And I'm like, look, there's no chance of replacing this ball. It doesn't exist. I can fix it to the best of my ability, and I can guarantee you that it's not going to roll as differently as you think, right? It all comes down to, this is the ball. It's this old. You're not going to see much of a difference if I were to take a gap and fill it in with clear resin, and it just not.
A lot of people have a hard time quantifying the difference between 3% and 0.
And I mean, really, really hard. Do you guys have a favorite oil pattern? Anything with a 3 in the front of it?
I need this much as I can. Just give me this, and I can have 220.
I just want anything that's in between 34 feet and 39 feet, and give me anything with actual shape.
I can understand why you guys get off on wanting to make it difficult, but I'm there to have fun. I've had my day in the competitive side. I'm not Butch Cooper. Also, Butch Cooper, if you're watching this at any point, that's for you.
That right there.
But I mean, I'm there to have fun. I mean, I like to hang out with my friends and have a beer and just have a good time. That's what I'm there for.
I can do that every now and again.
Now, the guys that take it more seriously, I'm there to help. I can understand ball motion and what creates ball motion, but my desire to be able to do that repeatedly is gone.
Right. No, I think I enjoy house whenever I am bowling the local stuff, because whenever I'm bowling the local stuff, it truly just comes down to like I'm there to truly just bowl and have fun and see the people that come through the area that don't get to come out very often. So for me, it's like house on the local stuff is great. When it comes down to bowling tournaments and stuff, I mean, honestly, it truly just depends on where we're bowling. Let's see, Katie, any house pattern with the laughing emoji? Here's a good question. Biddle asks, are you guys going to get the scanner, the CTD surface scanner for the pro shops?
I feel like that was a loaded question.
It's a little loaded. Honestly, I don't think I need it. I don't think anybody truly needs to know their surface level to that extent.
Well, it's not that you don't need to know it, but your pro shop guy can identify it.
Yeah, so like if you walked into the shop and you said, hey man, do you know what this ball's hit with? And like just by looking at a ball, you should be able to say like at the bare minimum, like you should be able to tell like 180 through 2000, 3 and 4000 get kind of close, depending on how you also do it. Because like the realistic thing is like 1000 to 4000 wet sanded could look identical depending on how you do it.
Well, so the short answer to Biddy 078's question is yes. We are going to put some scanners out there, but from a pro shop point of view, it's kind of subjective to where we put them, because I mean we've had the Jayhawk scanner in locations for years, and the ROI on that is just not that good. You know, if I put it in somewhere like Patrick's shop, he's likely to use it. He's a tech guy. You know, that kind of stuff makes sense. But if I put it in, I'm not going to name a location, but somewhere that somebody's not going to use it, obviously there's no return on that. Why would I do that? If the demand's there, then yes, absolutely, we're going to put it there. But the other part of it is we can really identify the difference between a 1000 grit and a 4000 grit is somewhere in between. If I put a 1000 grit, a true 1000 grit by hand with a brand new 1000 grit pad and just give it the beans and put a 1000 grit on there, you throw the ball for 10 shots, it's different.
Yep.
Now maybe that's the part where the scanner comes in play. Maybe that's valuable.
Right. That's
understanding how much that changes.
Exactly.
But the short of it is, how can we capitalize on that and make it worth our while to spend this kind of money on this product that I like to think works? I don't know. I haven't tested it yet.
I got to use one in Lubbock. My buddy Stefan has one. So we played around with the one that he has, and like we were going ball to ball and looking at all the different balls and like seeing like this is what it's supposed to be at. He took it right out of a box. So it should be that. And like there is slight differences, but I think the thing that is key is how does a ball change after you throw it? There's something I listened to the other day as I'm watching some videos.
It changes every time you throw a ball.
Exactly. So
you
like
shot 1, shot 2, shot 10, it changes.
100%. So like
on the lane, it changes.
So our shinier balls get dull. So like everybody always says that like shiny bowling balls tend to get duller over time.
Sure.
And then the dull bowling balls tend to shine up and lane shine. And I tell people the reason why they lane shine and why they dull on the certain bowling balls is because it's trying to reach the same friction level as the lane surface where you're seeing the friction.
Well, you're throwing it on a, for lack of better terms, a wooden surface. It's a synthetic surface.
Right.
That surface is actively sandpaper. I mean, it's sanding the bowling ball to an extent. So to me, the most consistent grit on a bowling ball is that of one that is imparted on a bowling ball after 1,000 shots.
Right.
If you've thrown that bowling ball for 100 games, then it ain't changing a whole hell of a lot. That surface is going to be consistent.
Right. I think, and to be honest, I think the scanner would be more cool to have in like the centers where we want to create more educational stuff. So like our centers that have the most amount of youth bowlers, maybe, where they're trying to get into like more the collegiate level youth bowling, where now there's the PBA juniors and there's all these different recruiting events that happen throughout the US where they're trying to get better understanding of the game at a deeper level so they know how to compete at those levels, which understandable, but at the same time, to be honest, a really big just learning tool at that point. Like I would use it primarily to be able to teach on camera, and in general, whenever I have somebody coming in looking to understand more about surface and how it affects the bowling ball. But even then, it's just like, it has to be like the right person, the right place, the right scenario. And again, the right.
The podcast goes on for 2 hours.
Bartender?
Do you understand that?
No, I don't.
Who the hell wants to watch?
We're talking about bowling, man. What do you want?
Who wants to talk about bowling?
A lot of damn people, man. It's my living. What do you want from me?
How many people on there?
Dasha Kovalova says something last year. I'm shutting you out. Just give me a drink.
Is there anybody on here? Anybody ever?
Yeah, there is.
I don't know. Yeah,
there is people.
There is people on here. So Dasha Kovalova said something on Bowl TV last year. I think it was.
Just keep your podcast at 30 minutes.
You're killing me, bro. She said something that really stood out to me, and again, this is from a inside perspective. I've been 20 years in the industry. She said something that kind of dawned on me that I knew, but coming from an outside perspective really stood out to me. Was she said she had this bowling ball, which was Brunswick's big bowling ball at the time, sanded at this grit, and she used it for the first 6-9 games, whatever. And at a certain point, that ball went from being her big ball to a step down from the next one down just because of the surface use.
Yep.
She's used that ball for 27 frames, whatever the number is, 9 games plus, and it changed places. So now she needed the technically ball down. If you're looking at her arsenal on a piece of paper, it's technically a ball down, but because the ball down on paper was fresh, now
it was too strong. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's not fair to equivalent that to going from a 7-iron to a 9-iron. It's not fair. Because and bowling is dynamic. That surface changes after 20 frames.
And that's why I tell a lot of people it's like Purple Hammer, best example, because of the fact that it has the least amount of like core to it. But like if I throw a fresh Purple Hammer trying to ball down from the one that I'm currently throwing, I sit there and I
give me a drink.
Yeah, David, go get him a drink. But I tell people it's like I can't go after throwing the same purple hammer for 4 games to one of my fresh ones that might be quote unquote weaker because of layout, because it has a fresh surface to it or a fresher surface than 4 games of a purple hammer down 25 30 mils. It doesn't make any sense. Now let's say I threw the fresh one and I threw the older purple hammers that have not had any surface on them in the last 4 games, probably a better idea. But realistically, like, you have to consider the fact that bowling is dynamic in that sense, to where you have to understand that once you throw a ball so many games, it's not going to be the same as whenever you first got it, which is why there's all the recommendations as to like when you need to resurface your ball, when you need to clean your ball, when you need to detox it, which if you didn't know all those things, we recommend, I think it's like 60 to 80 games, we resurface and detox a ball. And that's just to make sure that every 60, 80 games for the relative league bowler, right, is getting your ball back to being slightly higher performance than it was whenever you threw it the 60, 80 games.
Well, coming from a pro shop perspective, it's just get a new ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
Yep. New balls every single time that you possibly can. And
I mean, if the PGA has taught me anything, is need to replace my wedges after every 20 rounds, and that's like every 5 weeks for me. So
yeah, I was gonna say you can't.
And I'm terrible at golf.
You go to the golf course a lot, so that has to be quite frequent.
I shoot 90 very often.
You know higher. What? You know what I could be for you? I'll be the ball caddy and the cart driver.
Tell me you want to make about that. Sorry, you too.
Let's see. Let's see. I also just love watching house bowlers get humbled by a sport shot. That's something that's a lot of people. I don't think a lot of house bowlers get humbled by a sport shot more than just they want to throw it better when it comes down to bowling on sport of some sort.
Nobody wants to throw it better. Nobody wants to practice.
I don't know.
They want to buy it. They want to buy their talent.
My league bowlers, my guys are actually lately been like, yes.
He wants to get better. I know Larry very well. He wants to get better.
But yeah, no. Let's see. Anything else here? Fun fact: if you want complete darkness, you can see the sparks of friction from the ball and the lane. I don't know if that's true. I don't think I've ever seen. I've bowled in the bowling center completely dark.
I bowled in the dark plenty of times. I don't know about that.
I don't know.
I like Katie's feedback on this, but
yeah, no.
Now John, I haven't had a White Claw yet, but I do. Hey, David, give me one of those high noons.
Oh, high noons are so good. The bar around the corner from me has them, and that's dangerous. Get me drunk on high noons, and that's a dangerous game.
I'm working on vacation here, so what do you want from me?
Hey, that's very true. That's fair. No,
this is my vacation, and I'm working.
Right? When do we not work?
Now, thankfully, this is work for me.
Right?
Talking to your ass.
Yeah, exactly. You see, it could be a lot worse. We could be in the shop drilling a bunch of bowling balls, a bunch of demo balls.
How's 2022 feel compared to 2021 for you?
Way busier. And you know what's funny?
So by that rationale, if you were down, that would be a problem, right?
Am I down? I'm not down. I'm up like.
I know you are.
I was about to say. I know what the number is. I know what the number is. I'm not down. But anywhere else, if you're down,
my boy, you didn't want to open it for me?
Lady drink.
I feel like this year.
That's our CFO there, fellas.
Yeah, our Chief Financial Officer, David Bays, ladies and gents. I feel like anybody that's down right now is just not putting in the right kind of effort. And I don't say enough effort for the sake of, I don't think I've changed how much effort I put into it, because I'm still doing the same. I'm getting up same times. I'm doing the same thing. But I feel like now it's just a matter of the attitude being there towards the new people, right? And it's something that we talk a lot in the bowling industry, is that whenever you see somebody that's new, the conversation shouldn't go, well, that's not how that goes. It should be, well,
it's the golf pro shop mentality. I walk into a golf pro shop, they're all assholes.
Yep.
Most of the time. Exactly. It's because I suck at golf.
Exactly. So I tell people, it's
treatment, I don't want that.
Exactly. So you have to know how to give people the right kind of attitude. And I think that's where, in this day and age, social media, I can tell you right now, how many conversations go, hey man, I've seen you on TikTok or I've seen your YouTube videos. The first three minutes of the conversation in the shop from somebody that's never been in the shop or the bowling center before is that, you know, now that we have social media and all that, it's about showing the right kind of attitude to newer bowlers and being able to bring them in the door and keep them in the door to be able to have them buy something, which is just, again, it's all about the right kind of effort and putting in the right amount of time with each person, which sometimes is a lot harder than other. But like this year, I took a completely different approach. I'm bowling more. I'm taking more time off, which, I mean, I know you, Jeff, and everybody is super excited about because, you know, but at the same time, I'm doing it really efficiently because it's not like I'm gone for like 3 or 4 weeks. I'm taking 2 weekends off maybe out of the year, and it's like at max 4 days 4 days, 5 days of the month that I'm gone.
Well,
So I tell people it's like,
you grew Brian Jr. For your job, and he can have it, and we'll promote you. How's that?
look, hey, you know what? Give him the right number. Me and him have been talking about that, you know?
Yeah, that's always the issue in our industry, isn't it?
I know. Hey, but you know, he probably can go for a little lower, you know? He would have less stress working in the shop. Oh, you know what? But the only thing is I'd have to come down here on Thursday nights. I'd have to work Thursday night.
What's on Thursday night?
You remember the last conversation we had about a Thursday night here? Attitude control. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I'll remind you later. But I'd have to work at least Thursday nights here. But still, no, I've taken a completely different approach. I've made bowlers realize to use my time wisely, which is something that everybody, I think that's the best advice I can give anybody now is like, make sure you use you time as you time, and that's it. So like whenever I'm here at home and I'm editing video, like I can tell you right now, I've had my phone on Do Not Disturb since 6:26 p.m. And anybody that I need to reply to gets replied to. All the other ones, tomorrow morning, I'll just sit down for 20 minutes and respond to everything. But I've told people, it's like, if I'm out bowling, I have an employee in the shop. I have somebody there that can help you, and they're just as good as me. I mean, I can tell that's anybody now. I leave Brian Jr., Adam Atkins in the shop by themselves. It's because of the fact that they can do one-to-one what I do.
When did Adam get so damn good at throwing a bowling ball? Because that kid
was
sucked when I saw him the first time. That was 20 years ago. But
Dude,
he sucked when I saw him. But now he's
when I moved here, he was terrible, and then he shot like 4 300s back to back almost.
And Daniel Jackson too. Daniel Jackson Jr. is the same way. Daniel Smooth.
Yep.
That kid throws the ball damn good.
Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing. I got here, wasn't great, but then all of a sudden he was like, Adam left to go to Del Warren at Weber. Del Warren, I guess, put something in him because like Adam became a completely different bowler. He's way more versatile. I mean, he could play the ditch still like he used to, but then he can also, I mean, I've seen him stand in front of the ball return and launch it over it and like not even sweat where he's hitting. And like he'll sit there and be like, man, I didn't like turn my hand that extra 2 degrees to get it to like go through that spot in the lane, but it's still strong. Like I'm being dead serious. It's crazy because he's got an entirely better. Oh my god,
that just makes me mad. 2 degrees, come on now,
dude. You know what? He sometimes be like that, and it sometimes makes sense because like if you sit there and you think about the fact that if he did this much little more. It's true.
The talent those two kids have is just beyond me.
The only thing that people will ever talk about Adam is his worst enemy. That's the only thing that Adam has to fix. If he
I think he says that himself.
He does, and he completely admits to it. He completely admits to sometimes getting a little too angry, but at the same time, he also can bowl through that and not care. Like you can watch Adam be super depressed, but he will still be averaging 240 for a tournament.
Do you know his dad?
Yeah,
bowling?
I don't know. He lives in Atlanta now.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, he moved last year. He moved. I think he moved just after Adam went back to school last semester. He moved. He was like, I just don't have anything here. Adam was realistically the only reason I was still here, and he's gone.
I mean, that's a big part of his success. I mean, Gerard was a great guy, and just from my perspective, a great influence on him. Yeah, no, he's a great guy. He came by pretty often. He took like a break from bowling at one point because I mean, just things got hard down here. I mean, between the storms and COVID and everything, it was just too much to kind of do all of it.
But he came by just before he left and told me he was going. I was like, I hope you understand that I'm going to tell everybody that's in the shops over there that you're Adam's dad. So like, don't try to pull the fast one with us. He was like, huh? I was like, no, I know how it is. Your family, we're gonna take care of you just as well as you took care of Adam, and as well as you take care of us. I mean, he always came by. If I was at the shop and he knew I was there, he would like call me and be like, do you need anything? I was like, man, nicest guy ever. So I told people, it's like, hey, if you see this guy walk in, make sure he gets taken care of very well, because like that's family. It's not even like I told people, I take care of the people that take care of me the most. People that come into the shop and the first thing that they do is ask about me versus asking about a service are the people that will always be on my better side. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we're still human, right? As much as we do work in the shop and we do have to like just focus on the services side, we're human. I mean, you've been in Kenner long enough, or you were in Kenner long enough. You probably made more family here than.
I mean, that's everywhere though.
Yeah. Let's see what else we have here. Here we go. This is about the surface scanner. I've used it more for learning more than anything else. It shocked me when I scanned my equipment and how different the ball surface was than I thought it was. Which, again,
5 shots.
5 shots.
Send it at 5,000 or 500 and throw it for 10 shots and see what it is.
It's probably going to say like
different.
640 to 800 in 5 shots. More? There you go. So it could be a bunch. What do y'all feel like the general league 3 ball bag should look like, core and cover wise?
For you?
For me?
For
Eddie?
For Eddie?
I don't know if I've actually seen Eddie throw a ball. I'm terrible at names. I
haven't seen him throw it in a lot of years, but from what I remember about Eddie, he was speed dominant. He was left-handed, so have some with surface, something in the medium, and something shiny.
Yep. So I mean, if with those kind of
if
requirements,
he had the same 3 bowling balls, pick one ball that he liked the most, and have it at like 1,000, one at 4,000, and one at like as shiny as you can get it.
Marble shine.
In words of somebody I'm not going to shouldn't name. If he has those 3 balls and he doesn't score, Eddie, you should throw it better, because those 3 balls right there, if your favorite ball at 3 different surfaces, you can't score, then that's your fault.
Exactly. To be honest, for me, the three ball bag is kind of weird because like I have to have a spare ball. I throw it with 2 hands, so like
it's good in plastic.
Yeah, for me, plastic ball, and then I normally just kind of interchange the 2 balls. It'll be a solid in the lower or mid range, and then a shiny high end ball, or vice versa, where I have the shiny low end mid range ball, so like a Game Breaker 4 Pearl or something like that, and then something with a lot of surface with a bigger core, so like a Stealth or a Speed or the Defender. The ball that like the big balls that have looked really good lately in League, probably the Hellcat and the Dark Web, and the middle of the range, the lower range, the Melee Jab Carbon, the Game Breaker 4 Pearl, things like that. I don't know. I also just like sometimes I just like walk up to my pair and look at whatever team I'm bowling against, and I'm like, do you want to pick the bowling balls I'm going to throw this week? Because like for me, it's just about having too many options. And at this point, it's like, what do people want to see? No, dude. So I'll walk up to lanes and I'll just be like,
what ball you want to throw?
I'll literally.
I got 550 in this one. I got 650 in this one. I got 670 in this one.
Yep. I literally walk up. I'll set 2 bags down and I'll look at the people I'm bowling against. I'm like, pick the balls that you guys want me to throw per game. And they'll look at me and they're like, what? And I'm like, I'm being dead serious. Pick the balls that you guys want me to bowl against you in League. Because it makes it one fun, because then you have to force yourself to throw that 1 ball per the game or 1 ball for all 3 or whatever. But I just started doing it because there's so many options, and I'm trying to show off all the different balls in all these different leagues to be able to get people interested in the ball. I'm just like, you know what? Screw it. The worst thing that happens is a ball doesn't roll good, and then I just have to force it to do its thing, which is not really hard when it comes down to the house shot, right? It's just stand in the right respective place and throw it as far forward and far across as possible.
You know, in light of the 53 minutes you were talking about earlier, we're already almost double.
Yeah, we're almost double that. Let's see. There's nothing else. Okay. We'll leave a couple of these things out that I had written down.
I can talk bowling for hours with you. I'm sure.
I know, but I'm sure there's people inside that want you back inside. Yeah. Real quick, so we do have Bowlapalooza coming up. So if any of you are in any of the areas that we have a shop location in, Make sure you guys go over to bowlingworld.biz and check out the event section in the website to be able to see where the nearest Bowlapalooza location or Bowlapalooza event will be for you specifically. If you didn't know what that is, it is our demo program. We primarily run the brands of Brunswick bowling balls. So you will see things like Radical, DV8, Brunswick, Track, Ebonite, Hammer, and Columbia 300 balls in that lineup. We do use turbos on both the fingers and the thumb. So you'll be able to come in, get fitted up for whatever respective ball you're looking to throw of the lineup. The lineup does change as events go through the year. So like, let's say we have this month with the Trailblazer Solid, the Crypto, the Quantum Evo, the Hellcat, the Polaris Hybrid, the Dark Web, the Melee Carbon, and the Paragon Hybrid. Those could change in like a month from now. There is a lot of hints on the Columbia 300 pages about new balls coming out, and there's always more and more coming out. So
people think that I don't drill bowling balls in my corporate position. I drill a lot of damn bowling balls.
Alex drills all the demo balls for the respective area that he covers. And I can tell you right now, it is not very fun. But at the same time, there is
It's fun. It's fun. No, it's fun.
Is it?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
you want me to come help you someday?
No.
What you trying? What?
I'm just
saying.
I feel offended. I like it. That's one of my favorite parts. The time I get to actually drill a bowling ball, I cherish. It's good stuff.
Yeah, no. I can tell you right now, me and Brian have worked some nights.
It's not challenging. I mean,
at this point, it's
zero here. It's 7/16 right, 7/16 left. I install the grip. It's not challenging, but at least you get to pull the lever. You get to pull the lever. We're good.
But yeah, no. That's what's coming up here in the next couple weeks. I think first one that we have coming up in September is in Bradenton, Florida. Then we have Chesapeake, Virginia, where there's currently the super regional event going on. And you're going to Chesapeake twice? How does that make sense?
I am not. Chesapeake is not my district for demo.
I know, but still, it's kind of weird.
Joey is doing Chesapeake. Well, Joey's over all of the Chesapeake area, so he's got 4, 5 stops there. We're doing them in pretty much all the locations there. So,
right.
Yeah, there's a lot of ball on there.
I see. It says Western Branch on one, and then Chesapeake on the next. Okay. I was reading
York. I don't know if he's doing Indian River. He's doing York.
Right. Yeah. No. Oh yeah, and we do have all the new locations. We did so AMF/Bolero did buy out all the Bowl America centers on the East Coast. So there's Bowl America Mandarin at the end of the schedule. There's
Mandarin. We're doing.
There's Bull Run, Fall Church, Gainesville, Splits, Gainesville. I mean, there's a lot of centers on this roster. So if you guys want to check that out again, bowlingworld.biz to be able to check that out. Events tab, you can't miss it. But yeah, no. If anybody has any questions, if you're watching this back, make sure you guys leave it in the comment section below. Again, this is Alex Handback here with me today.
Well, hey, now we still got a little bit more time before we go to double time.
No.
I'm not in any hurry. I'm just saying. I just want to keep you on schedule. So I had some IPSIA stuff there on there. I like the topic IPSIA.
That is true. I did start I did just get added into the IPSIA group a little bit, which I need to make some phone calls. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing other than being there. But IPSIA, what is IPSIA to start off with, and what is our goal as IPSIA as a whole, right? Along with what do they do within the bowling industry and all that.
Well, IPSIA, International Bowling Pro Shop and Instructors Association. We try to kind of modernize the whole environment of the pro shops. Instructors alike. We want to standardize everything that goes on between if somebody shows up to one of our pro shops in New Orleans or shows up to a different pro shop in Washington, other side of the country. We want to be able to provide the same sort of service that goes across the board. The end goal, of course, is to provide a better service and a better experience in the bowling industry, because there's so many places that just, come in and say, oh, you're not a 200 average bowler, then I want to help you. We want to do away with that. I'd like for everybody to have the same experience, and again, I equivalent so much of this to my golf experience, because I'm a fairly new golfer, and I go into so many places where it's like, well, you're not good enough for me to talk to. And I hate that.
That's absolutely terrible. Hate that. You know how many times I've walked into a pro shop and like I'll wear a hoodie and not look like a pro shop guy, and I'll just walk around and like ask questions.
It's too often. It's too often.
And pro
you
shop
gotta
guys are
have
terrible.
that kind of mentality of I say, well, hey, if this guy here is averaging 120 in bowling, 180 in bowling, they want to get better. I want to help them.
Mhm.
And that's the key goal there. And I think everybody in our industry actually feels that way,
Right.
but they might not implement that way. And that's kind of the standardization of what IPSIA brings to the table is we want to be able to teach these PSOs this kind of across the board thing where everybody can agree. If Chris Warren, who I respect a ton outside of Dallas, writes out a spec sheet, I want to be able to read his spec sheet. And
right.
I know I can because I know Chris fairly well. But I want to be able to have that standardization across the board and be able to say, hey, we can grow this bowler, whether he's visiting this area, buys a bowling ball. I'm not going to have any animosity if he comes back to Madison and says, hey, this guy drills bowling ball. Is this right? So, yeah, he's the IPSIA guy. He knows what he's doing.
Right.
It's great. There's great means for it.
Exactly. And that's something that's a lot of people. It's like so IPSIA is something that I'm now starting to work with. Obviously, like I decided here recently, I'm going to try to help out Steve. I did a lot at Bowl Expo this year where I kind of followed around, did pictures and video of a bunch of different things. And then I'm now going to start working on videos for informationals for people that want to learn more about bowling from a company and a group that has a standardization to bowling in the technical side of it, right? So I'm going to be working along with IPSIA doing some videos and stuff. So if you guys want to check those out, they'll be here on this channel, I'm sure. And they'll also probably be on some sort of website or YouTube channel for IPSIA at some point or another. But yeah, no, just like Alex said, IPSIA is a great group of guys. I've met several of the guys that work within the IPSIA board, along with a bunch of people that are IPSIA certified. The guys that are looking to get IPSIA certified are all looking for the same thing. They're looking to be able to better help people and better help themselves grow their business. Because at the end of the day, that's the worst thing that you could probably have happen is walk into a pro shop and not feel welcomed because you're not of a certain caliber. I tell you right now, I don't think I could ever walk into.
That's the reason we took pro shop out of our name.
Yep.
For 20 years, we were McCorvey's Pro Shop.
Yep. That was the post you made the other day. This doesn't look like a pro shop. This looks like a store.
That was in Roanoke, Virginia.
That was the best compliment anybody could ever give.
I know. And he did not mean it as a compliment.
I know. He didn't mean it as a compliment, but it's still probably one of the best compliments because we don't want people to walk in and feel out of place. Like people walk in and they don't notice that I'm an actual pro shop. Like until they like finally realize there's a drill press and everything sitting in the shop. I'm like, I don't know how you miss it. It's like the first thing you see as you like first walk in. It's like, yeah. But I'm like,
hey, 100 average bowler comes in there and wants to get better. It's like, I can help you easily. Now the 230 average bowler comes in there, then I mean, how much can I really tell him? How much can you really? How do you really coach a? I understand different perspective, but
yeah,
moot point. If a 100 to 180 average bowler comes in there, I know we can help him.
No, we can definitely help them because they might not see things like we do, right? Like I've met some 220 to 230 average bowlers that are looking for more help. Like Chris Vandenborg is a great example here in my area. I think he throws it really good. I told him that whenever I first moved, but I told him the only thing that kills you is that you're all over the place. Between ball to ball, he was having some inconsistencies. I don't know if it was because he was drilling his own stuff or somebody else drilled him and multiple people tried drilling him and this and the other. But between that and physical game, and I told him, I was like, look, the things that I've noticed is that whenever you're bowling, you have to do this different with your approach. You have to get your balls to all feel the same, and you have to know what balls you're throwing and why. Because at the end of the day, he was just throwing the same ball, but in all 6 different logos. Why? And sometimes it works out like that, right? If you're really good at throwing the ball and you can throw the exact same ball just with different logos on them, cool. But for somebody that's looking to get to a higher level of bowling, like Chris is, like he comes in and he's like, I want to go bowl regionals, I want to go bowl this, I want to go bowl that. I told him it's like we can't have 6 of the same balls. We can't have 6 like you can't have 6 IQ tours in the bag. You're not left-handed, so you're not allowed to have 5 purple hammers in the bag, right? So it's just a matter of like
Yeah,
seeing.
you can't qualify by, I have these balls from 7 different brands and different cities and everything, and expect to do different things.
Right.
You got to have different equipment, sure.
Yeah, you have to have the spread, especially again at the higher level. It's just about having the spread. Like a lot of people were like, "Why in the world do you take 14 balls to Jonesboro?"
Even staff players, the guys that are heavily backed between the brands of Brunswick and Motive and Storm and everybody else, they have different ball reactions. They can encompass that different ball reaction field that we're looking for, but the tangible part of it is you can't expect to get all of that from, or you can expect to get from all one different brand, but you don't need to say, hey, I need to be all Storm. I don't need to be all Brunswick or all Motive, whatever. You can get that feel from everybody. It depends on what you like, but to pigeonhole yourself into, I can only throw hammer. I can only throw solid. I can't throw a hybrid. I remember there was a guy actually in Kenner that told me one time that he couldn't throw a hybrid bowling ball.
Somebody came in the other day and told me they couldn't throw a solid ball, and I was like, why? Looked at him like straight up. I was just like, why? Like, what is your true purpose and reasoning to throw a solid?
It's hot words. It's hot words in the industry. You got to be able to look past the marketing part of it, and at least have some faith in your pro shop guy. And I feel like from being on the pro shop side of the industry, we have to instill in our guys that it's not so much about being able to sell the hype that the manufacturers are already doing for you, but to be able to see through that kind of stuff and see what's actually going to benefit you.
Right. Like I had a customer have a conversation with me about, well, that ball has to be a solid because it's dull. Or that ball has to be a pearl because it's shiny. Yeah. I was like, yeah, but what do you and I told people, it's like, well, what do you consider a hybrid? And I was like, well, hybrids are, and then they get stuck.
And what you consider is what it is.
Exactly. I tell people
what it means is a totally different question.
Exactly. So like I tell people, it's like chemically compounded. A solid is a solid, a pearl is a pearl, and a hybrid is a hybrid. No matter what surface or polish you put on it, it is still chemically compounded to one of those 3 things. Now, what it does is this, that, the other. So obviously solids read early, hybrids usually a little bit more mid-lane roll.
Well, not necessarily.
Not necessarily, depending on how much pearl versus how much solid or what the blend is total. So
yeah, it's very unique to each situation. I mean,
exactly.
Unfortunately, and again, I use these analogies with golf all the time. 7 irons not always a 7 iron in bowling, and an 8 iron is not always going to outdrive a 9 iron in bowling. And golf, I mean, I guess I'm not, I'm a fucking 13 handicapper, so what do I know? But just to equivalent to something I can really, judge in analogical terms.
Right. Yeah, no. It truly just depends. But at the end of the day, IPSIA is just looking to get pro shop guys to be more standardized to one single thing and just be able to teach pro shop operators that might not have the right level of education. Like there's pro shop guys that I know that got into pro shop work just because of the fact that there was nobody in the area doing it. Maybe they just got the basics off of YouTube or whatever they can find. But truly, whenever I first got into like drilling balls, literally how I learned was standing around the corner watching somebody drill.
Yeah.
And just listening to everything he did and watching everything he did and trying to figure out, what did this mean? What did that mean? Asking questions. But there's not really a whole lot of people out there that know that IPSIA is there with a whole library of information. I've seen the whole library. I have a few emails worth of stuff. And I tell people all the time, it's like, there is not an easy way unless you know that IPSIA is there to do it. So, with the work of myself and Alex and a whole bunch of different people, we're going to try to get more people indulged into the IPSIA world.
Sure. Can you drink? I just ate half a pizza.
Man, we got a strong team on IPSIA right now. There's a lot of pro shop operators out there that, the 12 that are on our team right now are strong. We have a lot of good people. I mean, Ron Hicklin's leading the charge as far as our educational board goes. And, there's been a lot of discussion. I mean, he and I had a private conversation not too long ago about if you don't have any haters, probably not doing anything right. Yep. He's got some haters out there, but I mean,
his fans definitely outweigh the hate.
most of the people that don't like him don't know him. And that's true.
I don't think I've ever met somebody that has told me they didn't like Ron Hicklin that could easily tell me I've met Ron Hicklin as well. I don't.
At
Every
least
single person.
At least had a decent conversation with him.
Yeah, no. Like
I
if you sit down
the
in a room
guy's
and
sharp.
you talk to him,
He
he's
is.
smart as it gets.
He's sharp. He's charismatic. He checks all the boxes. He really.
I
does.
mean, let's be realistic. He
There's some
created
things
some
I
of the
don't agree with.
Right.
There is, but I mean, if you want to look at it as a net gain, he provides a net gain to the industry, and that's why we want him as a part of IPSIA.
right. Exactly. He has the right exposure. He has the right amount of push. So like,
he's got to follow.
if you go out,
he's got a good product.
if he goes on Facebook right now, and that is something that I tell people, this is how we should look at like the bowling industry right now. We should be looking at bowling industry people and influences as what can they do to help push something forward. If I go to Facebook right now and I posted about a bowling ball and Ron posted about the same bowling ball or a different bowling ball, which bowling ball sells quicker? Easily is going to be Ron's. If he says drill the new Messenger Solid and I say drill the Messenger Pearl in his comment section or just on regular posts, his Messenger Solid is going to sell 20 times more than mine.
I was about to say it's because you're left-handed, but so is he. So I can't really use that argument.
You see that? Yeah, exactly. No, but seriously, like there's a really good team. I think I know a majority of the team. I think the only person I truly don't know on the team is Josh Blanchard, which I mean, I know.
Well, Josh is part of Virtue Bowling. He's not really part of IPSIA.
Oh, I thought he was part of it.
He is vicariously, but
I just know that he does media. So
yeah, he supports Craig.
There you go.
He's a super nice guy. You know, I met him a handful of times. He's a super nice guy.
Right. But yeah, no. But I think that is all we had on our list of things to talk about. I don't think there's really anything else. If there's not any more questions, we'll probably cap it off there so David stops being a pissy party about the podcast. But again, thank you guys for joining us. Again, this is Around the Bowling World with Patrick, episode 4, joined along by Alex Handback. If you guys have any questions and you're watching the replay, make sure you guys drop them down in the comment section below. And as always, thank you very much for joining us if you are here live.
If you happen to be in any of the Bowling World Bowlapaloozas in my area, please come say hello. Tell me where you came from. And I can talk about bowling for hours, whether I want to or not.
Yep, it's the curse. It's the curse of the pro shop, guys. We can talk about bowling all day. But yeah, no, thank you guys for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.